everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be demonstrating my overall process of texturing my models. That includes things like my overall theory, my judgment, my decision making, just the overall whys and hows. This is not a tutorial in regards to how to texture 3D models, especially since I use polypaint, which is the incorrect method. This is not going to be a game ready asset. This is purely a model for my own fun, and therefore, like I said, I'm going to go over my overall technique and decisions. If you want to see how this model was actually made and created, that is in another video which you can find either in the description or in the upper right hand corner. That is a sped up time lapse discussing my overall decisions and process, but this time round I'm actually going to be kind of commentating my texturing as I go through it. Since generally when it comes to me and texturing, I don't know what I'm doing. I tend to go through just how I feel, lots of trial and error, just kind of flowing with the model in a way, flowing with the textures and just seeing what I like by the end of it. That's not something I can really talk about in context or in hindsight. That's really only something I can try to discuss while doing it. Hence this video. The first thing I want to think about is what kind of colour palette do I actually want for this, and I'm very torn between three different decisions. One is I'm thinking of a very crocodilian colour palette, so that's a lot of greens, browns and yellows. I do like the sound of that, but I also kind of want to keep that for a future project, so I might be skipping on that colour palette. Another colour palette I'm thinking of is reds, browns and whites. That one is based on the original Spore creation that this is based on, the original silly concept I have. That, again, not really feeling the red, so my last option then is to go for a bit of a grey-blue. I'm thinking something like a shark, where it's dark on the upper body and quite pale on the underbody. And that's probably the pattern I'll be going with, but with a bit of stripes, a bit of markings, kind of like a crocodile. Now, because this is all an entirely satirical concept, and this is entirely imaginative, I will also be taking liberties of having some different markings here and there. For example, the sail apparently emits colours like a chameleon, so the sail is going to be a rainbow textured, hence why the overall markings and scale work is very bare there, because I want the colours to do all the work, not the scales and markings. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do a rainbow sail, so again, the entire point of this video is we're just going to kind of experience it together. So with all the initial introductions out of the way, now it's time to actually colour this, and the first thing I always do is set it to Skin Shade 4. Skin Shade 4 is a material I like to use because it's just the whitest material. It makes the colours the most vibrant, as opposed to something like Madcap Grey, which is great for sculpting and seeing the shadows. I don't really like using this for colouring because I feel it tends to be a bit washed out and greyed out, whereas Skin Shade 4 is nice and vibrant, but also shadowy and does have a nice skin kind of shadowing to it, as opposed to something else like Basic Material, which is very, very shiny, or in particular the other ones like Eye Reflection or Soft Plastic. Toy plastic in particular. This one's great for eyeballs, in my opinion, but not very good for, again, like actual height, scales, etc. And again, like I said, Skin Shade has the most vibrant colour scheme. So for the overall colour scheme, I am thinking of going for a bit of a greyish, bluish colour, and I always try to make this a bit mute, a bit dull, and of course, very dark to begin with. I'm thinking that's going to be quite a nice base for that. Let's go ahead and activate paint, fill object, and the next thing I want to do is start working on the underbelly. Now, I only care about the initial colouring in the base body here because everything's combined. All the pieces that are not currently coloured are ones like the spikes, the osteoderms, the claws, the mouth, the teeth. Those I will be texturing later. Not really fussed about that. Personally, I just like focusing on the main meat of the creature and then doing all the little detailed parts later. So, if we get our colour scheme again, the next thing I now want to do is to try and make the underbelly a bit lighter. So like I said earlier, I'm thinking I want a bit of a great white shark kind of colour scheme. Not literally, but with the overall idea of the upper half being darker and lower half being lighter. I'm not going to use a bright white colour for this. It's going to be a bit toned down, a bit grey. Because this is going to be some very large basic shapes, I am going to also just reduce the resolution. I do often like to colour in the highest resolution. Now, that might be a bit of a performance issue. That might also not be recommended, but I like doing that to get as much detail as possible. But because right now I'm using gradients anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, just go ahead and reduce it. Colour all this down. Gonna start with very harsh strokes along the midsection, where I want it to be the most vibrant, the most lightest. Kind of fade out to get to the tip of the tail. And again, just make the entire center part nice and light. Now right now you can see there is a bit of a definitive line and a very sharp transition between the light and the dark. Now that, what I normally either do is lighter brush strokes here just to blur it together. Sometimes if it's two very different colours, like say a green and a yellow, I might actually have like a bit of a different colour kind of bridging the two shades together. Because I personally don't really like it when it's just two, you know, very independent colours that just suddenly meet and blur together. I always find it's a little bit strange. I guess you could actually compare it to, say, having a red creature with a yellow underbelly. You'd think that the red and yellow would transition into an orange naturally by itself, but I always find it looks a little bit strange. I like actually manually colouring in the orange bridge in between the two shades. I feel like it just makes it look a bit richer and a bit more visually appealing. Might just be me though, might just be my own personal taste, but I do like adding probably more colour than I should sometimes. Right, I just want to get all of that. So another thing I also plan on doing quite a bit of is, you see how some areas, such as these little parts here, let me just indicate it with a different colour. What I do plan on doing quite a bit of later on is, in areas like here, where you can see there's a bit of a thin membrane, I do plan on using colour to highlight them in this kind of method. I want to try and make them look a bit translucent, or if not translucent, then at least a bit more pale. That'll be a thing to do very later, although I could actually do a bit of it now using this bluish grey. In fact, I might actually do that. So if I just do just a little bit here, it doesn't have to be anything too strong, because of course this is so early in the model, I am not thinking about, you know, final colour schemes and touches just yet. And I don't really care for things to be consistent either. I'm a firm believer, especially in colour, that nature is very random. So I don't mind if some parts are a bit spodgy, some parts are a bit light, a bit dark, as long as it feels somewhat natural, or at least, you know, like not horribly chaotic, but I want it to feel a little bit incoherent, a little bit inconsistent sometimes, but still somewhat appealing to look at. Same again for up here, and it does also mean for some, you know, nice, efficiently fast brush strokes if you don't make things horribly perfect. Do all around there. Also, you're probably wondering, like, the overall design of the spine and what is going on with it, because it's just this very strange, you know, hybrid of a camel hump and a spine. If you want to know all about that, I recommend watching the previous video as to what this creature actually is, because I can imagine the design looking kind of strange. But as you can see, just a basic bit of colour there is already giving it so much more life. I could arguably end it here, but nah. Texture is my favourite part. I'm more than happy just to keep on going again and again and again, adding more and more and more colour. Now, I'm thinking the underjaw, a little bit like a crocodile, I'm thinking this is all going to be quite pale as well. Let me see, I do actually want this part of the chin to be like a little bit darker compared to the rest, but all around here to be a bit more... I imagine this bit here being a bit sensitive, a bit more delicate in terms of texture compared to everything else. And I feel like having a lighter colour would kind of reflect that. Now, I'm actually not sure how I'm going to colour in the upper half of the jaw, considering the upper half is a trunk, which is obviously a bit strange. I guess that's a nice perk of having a very kind of neutral colour scheme. This dark blue-grey is that I could have the leathery nose be, you know, this dark blue-grey. So I guess it's actually my advantage there. But I'm still a little bit unsure maybe of all this area here. I think maybe I will have some of it here just be a bit more pale. And I am, as I do more and more into this, I am thinking of adding a bit more yellow and pink. Now, pink is a very fleshy colour, and this is, of course, you know, a big scaly creature, so I'm not sure if pink would be good. Although I think it would complement it, I do think it would. I also do just want the area around the eye just to be, or at least under the eye, just to be a little bit lighter as well. Maybe behind the ear too. Let's see. I especially want the underarms, so in areas around here, because I personally just really dislike it. Like, this is only personal taste here. I dislike it when the arms and legs are like this just strictly different colour. It kind of looks like the creature's wearing a shirt in a way, or some clothing, where you cannot like ever get the underbelly shade to be on the arms or legs. I always find it really strange. I was like adding just a bit of it here and there. Let me just quickly get the lasso tool, cut all out off so I can see it properly. And solo. Just that way I can also colour in the toes, or the fingers more like. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of it right now is just very quick, rushed strokes, not really doing anything too intensive yet. I do have a bit more webbing around here again, so I am going to make that a bit more intense there. And same on the other side. It is still a bit messy, because I can always, in fact, for this whole area here, I will actually go ahead and tidy that up just a little bit. If anything, I would actually rather the lighter areas be like a lot more toned back. I want the dark blue to transition into the lighter colours as opposed to the light colours kind of bleeding out to the fingers, if that makes any sense at all. Again, just trying to sell like that translucent appearance, which should only be secluded into the webbing and not the fingers themselves. Or just have that carry up a little bit. So something kind of like that. Let's go ahead and make everything visible again. And I don't need to do the same back here. For the feet, I can just colour in the underneath like this. Kind of like that. All around the bottom as well. A little bit around here since it kind of comes up a bit more. Let me think. I do actually want to do the webbing there. So again, I'm just going to cut it all off. Solo it. Actually kind of did it by itself. I'm kind of happy with that. I do want to make it just a little bit more. If I do end up adding a yellow, I will be adding yellows into these areas here, but again, I think it will just make them pop out a little bit more. Since right now I feel like this really bleeds into the creature and isn't really that noticeable. Well, actually now it is. There you go. Making the tips of the webbing has just made it a lot more visible, so that's quite nice. Let me see, what else? I want this bit here to be quite a bit more lighter. I was debating masking this entire area, the thigh here, but I decided against it because, again, I like the colours bleeding a little bit every now and then. I just feel like it looked a bit, again, a bit more natural. Same down here. I do like that bleed. Right then. I thought the tail is overall very dark, so I just want to lighten all that up. But now that so much of the tail is a lot lighter, I do now want to make all of this segment here even lighter still. So I think I will add just a bit of a yellow. Oh, actually, now that I zoom out, the lower jaw looks very splotchy compared to everything else. In fact, the base of the tail here also looks a little bit splotchy. Let's just go ahead then and clean all that up. Probably just requires, there you go, just like one long consistent brush stroke like that. That to me already looks a bit better. It's a bit neat around here, which I guess kind of makes sense because if I move the shadows around like that, you can see how there's a bit of a crease here, so it could look like it's folding. But the shading there does feel a little bit sharp. I'll think about that one. I'm going to leave it for now though. But yeah, the lower jaw. I do want the tip of the jaw, the chin, to be this darker colour, but I'm not really sure it's working. Or at least I'm not sure that having all of this to be lighter is working. So I think I will just go back and just tone it back slightly, kind of like that. I think that does look better already. But I do want this bit underneath to be nice and defined. Kind of like that. Now, one thing I do frequently do is I will often go into flat colour for the material, and this will show me everything without any shading whatsoever. So as you can see here, in fact, this is a really good example right here. You can now see this entire patch here just was not shaded at all. Now, I know I've just been preaching about how I like it to be a bit splotchy and a bit inconsistent, but this to me is an error. I feel like that as soon as it gets lighter, it should remain lighter. I think having a little dark patch there is just not right. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, just touch that up and there you go. Just a little bit, just mix up a little bit. It still has a bit of a darker area there, but that's okay as long as it's not like this great big dark pocket. Going into flat color like this, I find really handy because not only does it highlight mistakes like that, whenever you kind of change things around, like for example, the entire spine here looks completely flat and a little bit ugly, you might not really notice it when it's got all the shading involved. But I find that whenever you just add like little bits of shading and colour into the flat, like here, it's so subtle in the shaded rendered version, but it just makes the colours feel more rich. I've been doing that a few times where I will go into flat colour and just do like all these subtle bits of shading. In fact, for example, I will do a bit now to say I want a bit of a richer blue in some of the hardier areas, like here for example. If I do that, although it's doing that annoying ringed thing, I've got no idea how to fix that, that's kind of annoying. But if I have some of the more tough looking areas of a darker blue, just nice and subtle, by the time we actually get to the final thing and have it rendered and shadowed, it will just pop out a little bit more. At least again, I find anyway. But it is doing that annoying ringed thing, I've got no idea. But you can see here though, how the shoulders now just look like a bit more rich. I'm going to stick this for a little bit longer because the rings are really distracting me. There's been a bit of a thing I've been having recently where sometimes the colours will have these bands around it. I'm not sure if it's my monitor. Maybe you guys can see it, maybe you can't. I'm actually not sure. But it annoys me. So, in that case, it's actually beneficial that I do have this entire area here. Where it's all nice and shaded. I do want the ridge to be just a little bit darker. I do want it to be lighter, actually. I like it being darker. I like the contrast. Let's just do that. A little bit around the jaws, around the tougher part there. Actually, that's a bit too much contrast, I feel. Maybe just like a very subtle line. Like that. This area here is just looking very plain, so I'm going to go ahead and really darken out there. All down the top. Now, I am avoiding the center spines, because I do want them to be a distinctly different colour, because those areas there are a bit more delicate than, say, all these osteoderms scales on the back here, so I want that to remain the lighter shade of grey-blue. It's all of the larger, tougher areas I'm making darker. Now, I say larger, tough areas, I'm not saying that they necessarily should be darker. I don't really know if that occurs much in real life, like in actual, actual animals, where the tough areas are going to be darker. Maybe they could be lighter, maybe they could be more rusted out, worn, or maybe they could be more vibrant and powerful. I don't really know. That's just my choice for this. And like I said, the entire point of this video is just to go over my thought process as I do it. Just like all my little decisions here and there, like the whys and the hows and such. I do just want to tone down the under tail a little bit with this new darker shade. And this area here is looking kind of weirdly flat, so again, just gonna tone it back just a little bit, just like that. I do like how this area here is quite a bit more dominant. Although I kind of want to just have that bit there to drag up. There we go. So already that's looking a lot better than it did a moment ago. Funny what 3 shades of colour can do, eh? If we go back to flat colour, now as you can see, it just looks overall a bit more richer. You can now actually see a bit more definition of the creature. You can see how the spine, hips, I'm not sure what you'd actually call this area, how that actually raises up a little bit more. You can see the actual curving of the tail, even with absolute shadowless material. You can see this sort of flap of skin here. You can see a couple of more of the flaps of skin actually, the wrinkles around the chest as well. It's very, very subtle, but I find it just helps, and that's why I do it. Now, I do look up here, see how plain all this area is, so again, I just want to take it down. That's not doing what I wanted to do. Where's that doing? Dots. How did that happen? Why are you doing dots? That's a little bit odd. There we go. Got no idea why I was doing little tiny dots there, but I rebooted ZBrush and that fixed whatever was happening there. Sometimes it might be a little bit lazy just to reboot a program when something goes wrong, but it's just quick and easy, let's face it. Now then, what I do want to do is, now that I can see it all without shadows, I just want to make this entire area here just like a very harsh, distinctive line. Kind of like, actually let me just reduce the focal shift. No, it's a big strong line, kind of like that. Again, you might not really see it when it's actually shaded and coloured, but I feel like it's just little subtleties here and there that will really make it pop out. And I want to do the same thing on the tail. Do I actually? It kind of naturally has its own line. I will do it again though. Maybe a little bit higher up, there you go. And I'm just going to make sure that still looks good with the shadows on. It does, I do like that, it just gives it a bit more definition. So overall I'm kind of happy with the blues and greys right now, but the whole thing does look kind of just a bit bland. I mean, in terms of shading and lighting, I think it looks really good, it's got a lot of variety and diversity. But in terms of colour, I feel like the colour is looking extremely bland right now. I also feel like just the leg here just looks a bit funny. And I'm also going to start moving away from the circle and just start using a bit more of a splotchy alpha. These are the default alphas provided by ZBrush. I think I'll use probably this one. Again, very, very subtle, but it just means that now it's not going to be, you know, it's complete round circles. Whenever I do anything, it's going to be a little bit splotchy. Make the knee a bit darker. That's all looking a little bit strange, actually. I think I will just tone down the knee. Make it all a little bit lighter. I keep on colour picking from various other parts around the model by pressing, is it C? Yeah, C. There you go. That way I can very, very quickly change everything around. That was a misclick. I'm going to turn the RGB back up. Right. I think, yeah, just around here is a bit too harsh. But I think now that does look a bit better. And you'll see I turn the model a lot because I'm trying to look at it from every different angle. The lighting as well, because I do want shadows to be on. But sometimes the reflectiveness can make it a little bit hard to see certain areas, so that's why I keep on turning the model constantly. I do also just want this area here, just to kind of match into the back, because the back is very dark. I want the shoulders to be like about as dark. I feel like it's connected, it's, you know, warping together. And a little bit around the back of the arms. And otherwise, oh actually, now I mention it, a bit around the fingers too. Just a little bit, just little lines here and there. Nothing too big or too crazy. And since I've done the fingers, I may as well do the toes as well. Just again, little bits of dark here and there. Really make it pop out. There we go, kind of like that. I like that. Now then, as I was saying earlier, the shading and lighting looks nice, but now the colours are very blue. They're a little bit bland. So I am thinking I'm going to try to do a touch of yellow. I think actually more of an orangey yellow. I want this colour to be a bit more warm. Now, why am I using orange and yellow? I'm thinking a lot of a crocodile. I did say I wanted to be like a bit of a great white shark kind of colour palette, but I do like the whole crocodile aesthetic, and I feel like this needs a bit of warmth. It's looking just very cold and a bit gloomy right now. So if I just do these very light little touch-ups of a bit of like a orangey, yellowy here, it's going to make it look a bit more delicate, but it's going to give it just so much more colour. Like that little bit there just adds so much to it in my opinion. It just changes the overall warmth and temperature. I think around here it's a little bit too much. Let's just tone that back. Doing very, very, very light brush strokes. This is of course a nice perk of having a tablet. Not even any fancy tablet either. I do feel like that just any touch sensitivity tablet can achieve this. I'm not really a big fan of like big, crazy, expensive tablets. I mean, my one is an expensive one, but it was secondhand gifted to me, so I'm very fortunate in that regards. But it doesn't have a screen. I'm looking at the monitor as I do this. Hand-eye coordination. I don't think you really need like... Oh god, sorry for that spin. That happens a lot. I don't really think that you need like, you know, big crazy equipment to do this kind of stuff. Like right now I'm just utilising the fact that I have pressure on this, touch sensitivity. And I just want all of that to be just a little bit discoloured. A little bit pale. Especially around the centre. I feel like the centre is where, if there was any colour changes, it would be the most intense there. There we go. There's a bit of a line going on there, a bit of a streaky line. I kind of don't like it actually. I was going to ignore it, but I don't like it. So I am going to go back a little bit more. Do a little bit, again, around the centre here. The whole thing's looking a bit splotchy, but I do like it in this situation. Around the neck, all these freaky folds here. Again, just make it a little bit dark, a little bit lighter. Now, I actually do want the yellow to bleed into darker colours. I've just had it bleed a little bit around here, and I like it because it produces such a different shade. And again, it's just these little things here, just little bits highlighted around the edges, around where the skins meet up and change and fold. We got like different textures and such, or different like physical textures, I mean. I feel like it just adds a little bit more life to it. Just gonna add it to the base of all of these for no other reason other than just adding variety. Do all around there. Since I've done it there, I'm gonna do the same thing up here as well. I am aware that the spine right now is looking very flat. I'm honestly not really sure what I'm gonna do about that. I think that's just going to be a bit of trial and error and figuring out, because since my design here, my little model ideal concept has had this, you know, really intense looking spine just turn into a giant hump, the colours are going to be a little bit strange. What I might do is whenever I add those rainbow colours in, the chameleon colours, because this can apparently change colour for some strange reason, when I eventually do that, I might make the colours on the hump bleed into the spine, so it kind of bridges them together. But even then, no, I'm not sure if that'll really be much of a success. This is just like a very weird thing that you have to figure out at some point. Let me see, I do want like a little bit of yellow. Ooh, I kind of like that gold band. That was not what I meant to do, but I do like it. Gonna keep it. There we go. Happy little accidents. I do want the bit around the mouth just to be a bit lighter. In fact, again, I'm liking it a lot, so I'm gonna make this entire area about that kind of shading. So quite often, because again, I'm doing everything here like kind of a little bit rushed. Not rushed intentionally, but because I do like that messy appearance, it does mean I make a fair few mistakes, and if I don't like the mistake, I'll just, you know, Control Z, no problem, undo, do again. But sometimes I will make like little mistakes here and there, and I'll like it and I'll keep it. Such as the gold band on the neck there, such as the yellow on the base of the mouth. I like it, I like the way it's coming along. Earlier I was thinking about having a bit of pink around the trunk. Now that I've got all this yellow here, I don't really think it needs a pink anymore. I think it's starting to look a lot more delicate as it is. Now, just my own little personal preference, I do not like it when noses or just like these kind of areas, I just have like a very abrupt, you know, shade like that. I don't really like that. Yeah, I definitely don't like that. So I am going to have this all be like a bit more of a brownish, bluish, excuse me, colour. But I just want the tip of it, you know, the most sensitive area to be pale. Like that. Have a very, very contained. No, I'm gonna make this area here very intense for now. But that's because I'm gonna shade that in later. I mean, technically, if I was to render it right now, that'd be shaded by itself. But I don't really like doing that. Sometimes I like adding in full shading myself, so that it just looks, again, a bit more richer when the actual shading comes in. Otherwise, though, see, that again just looks a bit nicer, and now it doesn't feel quite as cold. It still feels quite cold, but not quite as bad as before. Let's put it on a flat colour. Yeah, see, now you can really see it, like all the bits of yellow and how they pop out and just add a bit more to it. I really like the mistake around the neck. I think the part around the neck really pops out more. Let me think. I'm just debating. I think I might put a bit more yellow around here, actually. Ooh, bit too much. Oh, actually, what if I did do that? Well, I have the base of the hump be like a bit of a lighter colour. Kind of like that. Again, just to break it up a little bit. It's a little bit strange, but I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like that. There we go. It's a bit weird having this entire area here just be like very light because it's a lot more yellow compared to anywhere else. And I'm having very mixed feelings on it, but honestly it just feels a bit more natural, which is the exclusive reason as to why I'm keeping that area there. Okay, so let me just have a look at this for a moment. I fancy trying something new. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the underbelly in particular, and I fancy trying something completely new. What if I just do like little, in fact maybe I should do this on a high resolution. What if I just do like little stripy parts along the neck? Just like little mottled stripes. I've never really done that before, and I just feel like it might work quite nicely here. I've got my very messy looking alpha, so it won't be anything perfect. Maybe not. What if I did have a gradient? Gradients in ZBrush mean they will have like a bit of an outline around it. So maybe if I had this outline here, I feel like maybe it's like a bit of a brownish red. Sort of quite pale and just get a little bit brighter as I go in. I kind of like it. I feel like, I'm not sure. I think it's got potential, but I don't like where it is right now. See, it's funny because I started with all this saying that I wanted, you know, this pale blue underbelly, but the more I add, the more I'm now thinking, actually, maybe a yellow underbelly would be good after all. As long as the centre point, part of bridge it together as a pale blue, I think that would work nicely. You know, I was saying earlier, in regards to how I think that there should always be like a bridge of colour between your two transitions, or your two primary colours. This is kind of like a bit of a reverse example, but it still works, where having the lighter blue bridge the dark blue and the yellow. Again, it'll just look a bit more natural than if I slapped the yellow on top of the dark blue. So if I just do this a little bit more, and notice how I still have the red gradient activated, so it's just going to be adding a bit more random colour for me. You can't really see it, but I guarantee you can probably see under a flat colour. You can kind of see it a little bit here and there, just these little darker splotches. Again, very, very subtle, but it prevents it from looking flat. Let's just do that. Have that just go up a little bit there. So now the neck is starting to just look a little bit more and more fleshy. I do want these areas here to be as light as possible actually. So for this entire time I've been doing like very light pressures and brush strokes. But now that I'm getting more and more accustomed to the yellow colours, I do want just like the tip of the neck, if you will, where it meets together, I want this to be more intense. So you can see I'm starting to put in a lot more pressure, excuse me. The colours are starting to get a lot more vibrant, a lot more defined. And that to me is making it pop out significantly more than it did last time. But now that I've got that on the neck, you can see the big difference, how the rest of the body now looks very flat. Let's just go back then and do a lot of that here and there. Again, mostly around the centre. I am purposely keeping on high resolution, even though it's causing me to get a bit of lag. Because I do want those all crisp edges here and there. As subtle as it may be, I do want it still. I also just want that to climb up a little bit. Yeah, liking that so far. And again, I want this to bleed. I do want the underarms to be a bit different colour, because if I just quickly undo for a second, when I don't have the yellow on the, what do you call it, like, not the bicep, like the back of the bicep, if you will. Right now, the arm just looks very separated, whereas if I had the colour bleed in a little bit, now it actually looks like it's part of the creature. It does, again, look a bit more messy, but I like it though. That's just the kind of technique I really do like. Having the pieces come together like that. Right, let's just do the same. So I like a bit of consistency in this. I want the entire undertail to have the same yellow shades. The downside is that whenever I make a mistake I don't like, and I undo, it's kind of laggy. There we go, I kind of like that. I don't mind that it gets to like a very pale blue around the tip of the tail, that's completely fine by me. As long as like the majority of the meat of the creature is these nice yellow shades. Right, and again, just so that the yellow isn't secluded anywhere, I just want to make sure that the hand has a bit of yellow as well. Bit of yellow, a bit of brown. You can really start to see how this is getting more and more mottled, a bit more rough. So like I mentioned earlier, I just like adding more and more and more layers of colour, and as I add more in, I start to get a bit messier. For example, this alpha and having the brown gradient, you can see it start to get a bit more splotchy. And I find that whenever you look at a lot of reptilian creatures, especially crocodiles, their colour schemes are very splotchy. They've got lots of splotches everywhere, and I think that doing this really helps. I can see the bands of colour in the Spino, that is wrecking me. So, like I mentioned earlier, there's great big bands here. I can't really do anything about that, it's really, really bothering me. So what I am going to do then, to fix that, is get another gradient with that same alpha brush, and I'm just going to colour over it, and hope that kind of hides it for me, because that's really bothering me. Again, this isn't a tutorial, this is just me going over my thought process as I go through texturing a model. So whether or not this is the correct way of doing things, I could not tell you. This is just how I'm doing it. And it's my little solution to get rid of all these stupid bands. In fact, I think I might even do this in flat colour. Ooh, yeah, you can really see them there. That's awful. I'm not sure why that's happening. I might need to talk to Rag about that. See if Vina, or even Kev actually. It's probably more like a technical issue than a ZBrush issue. As I do get this in a few programs, it's really annoying. Can I remove it at all? Kind of. That is really annoying. Is it just my monitor? No, I can see on both monitors. Ugh. Well, that's something to look into, isn't it? But for the time being, I can still at least, you know, like blur it out. Kind of like that. Blur it out a bit more all around there. So, due to a technical issue, I have had to skip ahead just a fair bit. Because I'm not sure like how far into the recording I'll keep. But there's been like a lot of banding in the colours, which you might be able to see quite subtly in lines like right here, for example, or where else? In lines like all around here, you can see like these very subtle banding, how they're a little bit distorted in colour. You got like a couple of pinks and greens in there. That was really, really bad earlier. In fact, you can see it really clearly in the tail. It was like that, but a lot worse earlier, and I ended up just like cutting the recording, trying to figure out how to fix it. You can see that overall it's a bit better. When I go into skin shade mode, you can't see it at all. Well, I mean, if you like look really, really closely, if you zoom in, then you might see it a bit here and there, but realistically, people aren't going to see it in the 2D image, not the ones I provide. So I guess it's not really the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying that banding had occurred. So what I'd done is I did end up getting a lot of these kind of splotchy, I guess you could almost call it like a scaly textures all along the top there. And it kind of masks it a little bit. In some places, like the arm here, it looks awful. But in other places, like the neck, for example, you've got all these lines, a bit of, you know, full scarring. You've got all these textures all around the neck. You can see a bit more around the head and the face. It's kind of pieced it together and it's kind of bandaged that issue. It turns out it's a processing error, and basically what it means is that my file is too big. But I'm not changing that at all, so, you know, tough for me. But I've been doing that, and otherwise I've just been touching up a couple of the other areas, such as making the underbelly a little bit lighter, a bit more vibrant. Went back onto the hands and feet, and again just made them a bit more vibrant, especially the webbing. Tried to kind of tie it all together a little bit more, which you can see quite nicely on the underside of the foot, and how it's a bit more subtle on the above part. And as you can see, I've been doing a bit of work around the mouth, around the insides of the mouth. Not the upper jaw yet. This was a bit of a mistake on my part that I didn't just merge the various subtools in the mouth together, because it's going to make texturing a little bit harder. But it's not really the end of the world though. Now, in regards to the actual colour scheme of the mouth, initially I was going for lots of yellowish kind of shades. I was, off by memory, going by what Crocodiles had, as Crocodiles have very yellowish mouths, and it's in the inside of the throat where it gets pink. And as I was doing it, I just didn't like it, because it made the creature just look very sick, very ill. It didn't look like a crocodile to me, it just looked weird. And maybe it's just myself here being a bit biased, but I do prefer the pink texture for the inside of mouth, so I've gone for like a bit of a in-betweener. I think what I'm going to do is make the pink a bit more red in a bit, but what I do want to do is just do the rest of the red texture in this part, so you guys can see what I actually did, and that is, if I start with a darker colour first, and my primary alpha I've been using for this is actually, let me see, this one here, which you might not expect, but it's actually been really handy. Oh, actually, before I do that, I will just go ahead and just get like a great big basic transition of colour all around there. And then I'll switch to the alpha, because all it does is it just makes it a little bit more messy. If I go into flat colour here, you can just like see the lines. It's, again, it's really, it just makes it look a bit more messy. I personally find that like little lines like this in the mouth, or on anywhere on the creature, just gives like a bit of randomness, gives it a bit of like false definition, kind of looks like there's creases and such here and there, and I just think it looks a bit more interesting. Let me see. Now, as you can see, the ridge of the mouth, or the top of the mouth there, is now a bit plain, so I'm just going to go ahead and just thinking, I do want to use actually a bit of a deeper red colour. And just very gently splotch it all in. It's such a subtle different shade, but it does make a difference. Zoom in there. Now, I don't always colour in flat colour. I do like to every now and then, but I don't always do it. I kind of just really just mix and match and just do whatever feels right at the time. What I do want to do quickly here is try and get these colours to, or these different layers to kind of merge together. Like I said, it was a mistake on my part for not just merging the subtools and having this be one big layer. That was a bit silly of me. But I'll live with it. Again though, you probably won't really notice it that much when it's actually rendered. Now, in looking for references, I did try and look up, you know, just before recording this, I did try and look up a reference in regards to the inside of reptile mouths, and I realised that it's mostly mammalian mouths, where they're like very pink and reddish and such. A lot of reptilian mouths seem to be quite messy, you could say, in terms of the colours. Like, again, very pale, very grey and yellow and such. Not always, definitely not always, but sometimes. And it was with the Komodo dragon I saw where it was a lot more red, but it had these really big, ugly black areas at the back of their mouth. Kind of like the gums you see in some dogs. How the edges of their mouth like a bit this weird darker colour. The Komodo dragon had that as well, and I'm actually thinking of adding that in this, because even though it just looks really gross, that is nature. Nature is gross, and that is something I'm trying to get into the habit of just doing a little bit more often. Since I've really embraced having imperfections in my drawings, to try and get a more natural appearance, now I want to start getting a bit more ugly into it. Since if everything's, you know, all nice and pristine and perfect, it's just gonna look fake, isn't it? It's just gonna look completely fake. Not quite right. Again, personal preference though, not that there's anything wrong with polished, you know, polished pretty pieces. But just for my personal realism ones, if I want it to be polished, I'll make it a different style entirely. If I want it to be like an actual animal like this, I'm gonna put in the extra effort just to make it look like a mess. A good mess. Oh, speaking of which, actually, as you can see around the lips here, or if you even could call it lips, I did add like all these little, I guess you could almost say like, little tiny scales if you wanted the colours. Not really meant to define anything, just again, giving it random texture. And as you can see here, I have made parts of the inside of the lips as like a very light pink colour, just because I want it to look a little bit blended in, maybe like a bit of bounce lighting in a way. Not really sure what exactly it's there for, but it just kind of makes the two surfaces look a bit nicer together, since previously they just looked really sharp and really out of place. So now I've got that done, the inside of the mouth is looking better. It's also looking very flat, I find. So, thinking, I do want to go with that really gross Komodo dragon and black pits in the mouth. But that's more of like a finishing touch. I think what I might do actually is I am going to add some yellows. Maybe some, yeah, actually I think I'm going to go for a proper yellow. I was going to go for orange because it's a nice warm natural colour. Whereas yellow will look a bit sickly. I kind of do want the more sickly colour, to be honest. I think I made it a gradient as well, that way there's just like a bit more subtlety to it. Maybe the gradient could be a bit more grey, like maybe a warmish orange grey, and the actual main colour itself could be like a bright yellow. And for that, I want... Let's try that, let's just give that a go. Let's give the focal shift, make it a lot smaller. And that's not quite what I'm after, although it does actually a very nice job, but it's not what I'm after. Maybe it's not the right shade. Maybe if I go for like a green. Like a dark grey-green colour. Something like that. Ooh, I do like how that looks. Just so subtle. Just little marks here and there. You can see actually I've also added a bit of yellowish orange to the tongue as well. Again, I feel like it just makes it pop out a little bit more. The green is like... Having green in a mouth does sound really strange, but as you can see though, like all these really bizarre colour choices here and there do just make it look a bit more organic. I find anyway. I kind of want like a little bit of purple now, like a bit of dark blue purple within this part of the mouth. I want this area here to look a bit colder. Again, can't really see it at all. Very subtle, but I feel like it just adds so much to it. Oh, that's a bit too much. I feel like that if I can like distinctly see the purple, then it's definitely too much. But if I can just see like a bit of a discoloration to the pink and red, then I think, you know, oh good, that's what I want. I want discoloration, not actual colour. Because I've been doing all that to the upper part of the mouth, I do just want to do the same to the lower part as well. So kind of like that. And you can see I've tried to kind of transition the gums, if you're not really the gums, I mean, I'm imagining like a crocodile mouth where the teeth kind of procure through the jaw. I'm trying to make like that bit of a... I tried to make that a bit of a similar surface, but still trying to make it transition to pink. Mostly because I'm not really sure like how to properly do those colours. I do find that sometimes in nature you do get like very sharp edges in colours. I've not really figured out how to do that and make it look good. I always kind of struggle with that one actually. I want to get more of that green again. A bit more green all around inside there. Do a little bit on the tongue as well. Oh, that's a bit too much actually. In fact, I'm not really sure I need it on the tongue. Maybe just a little bit down there. A little bit around the tip. Kind of like that. Yeah, cool. So now that's just looking a bit more... just a bit discoloured. You know, now it doesn't just look red and pink. Now it just looks like a bit of a mix, doesn't it? I am liking that. Let's try and see what like a big dramatic change of colour will do. Let's see, let's just try, like, yeah, a dark red and an orange. I've got no idea how this will actually look. But I want to give it a go. And I want to be splotchy, so I'm thinking, what if I try, maybe this one actually. It's going to be kind of hard to see because of the the mouth and teeth are in the way. See, I'm playing with like a very strange looking area, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what I'm doing. I guess that kind of works. It makes the inside of the mouth just look a lot more brown. Bit of full shading. I do like doing a lot of full shading. I kind of want those two colours there to be about on sync, so what I'm going to do there is just put an unnecessarily high amount of pressure, just to increase the chance that they'll sync together, kind of like that. Although having a gradient is making that a lot harder. Let's just do that instead then. Same thing up there. And I think that kind of works, because at the end of the day, when this is like fully rendered, you're not going to see the inside of the mouth, it's going to be all dark and shaded. So if a couple parts here and there don't sync perfectly, I can kind of get away with it. I don't want to get away with it, but I can. I think it looks a bit better. Now just looking again like a bit more gross. I just want the entire roof of the mouth now to be about as dark as it is in there, and a little bit around the base of the tongue as well, actually. I want everything to get darker as it goes in. Gonna turn back face mask off actually, because my colours aren't quite going how I want. There we go. Now it's a lot more dominant. The strokes are making a much more of an impact. There we go, that's what I want. And then towards the end of it, let's get those gross big black areas. I want to be like a bit of a very dark blue actually, just because I feel like we'll have like a bit more warmth. And how am I gonna do this? Maybe with this actually. Ooh, that's nasty. It's a bit fake looking though. See, I had this idea, but I really don't know how exactly I'm going to do it. I might not even do it all together in the end. I just want to try it. See how it would look if I can get like some kind of texture like that. But the reality is, it might just not be within my reach. It kind of works. Oh, it does look ugly, and it kind of works. What I'll do then is I'll carry on trying, actually. Do a little bit more, like a bit more around there. Do a bit more in the tongue. And because the layers are in the way, there you go, pull it away entirely for a moment and just do all that. That's all I want actually. Well, that is looking quite, it sounds like a bit diseased. Ugh. It's kind of nasty. It really is. But I'm liking it, And just so it's a bit more consistent, I'm just going to do like little random pockets of black here and there as well then. Like maybe around the gums there. And now that I'm doing that, now I'm adding a bit of black, I also want to add a bit of white too. I always just find out whenever I add like one, you know, either black or a white, it's not just adding both of them. Something about it just makes things pop out so much more when there's like that great big stark contrast. Like in these little flabby parts here, I want to have like a little bit of white there. Good. At the bottom of the mouth, bottom of the jaw, I feel like there should be bit of black. Oh, let me just put back face mask back on then. And that's a bit heavy there as well. Let me go ahead then and just hide everything. Because all I really want is a bit of a subtlety like that. And then just make it a lot deeper like that. And the rest of it should go into the tongue. It does good. Again, same here. I think it's one of the better tongues I've ever done. It's kind of funny actually with this tongue. I did the complete opposite of what I ever do, and I added scales to the tongue, and it actually really worked. Go figure, eh? I never thought adding scales to a tongue would actually make it look more like a tongue. There we go, that's looking... I like that. Oh, it's so gross. I really like it. Ah, it's horrible. See? All these really horrible shades and colours. Bits of yellows and greens and purples all along the pink and red tongue. And then if I were to actually use a shiny material to it, like maybe something like eye reflection, or let me... what about like soft plastic, for example? Oh no, definitely not that one. Well, if I were to give it like a nice shiny material, I'm thinking, yeah, let's just grab something simple like toy plastic and render that for a moment. Yeah, there you go then, just looking at the tongue alone, and that just looks really gross and I really like it. Now the teeth obviously look terrible, the teeth are completely untextured. What I will do is make them like a bit of an orangey, browny, yellowy kind of colour scheme. Well, actually that's a bit dramatic, more like a bit of a dull greyish yellow. And make the roots very dark so that it really blends into the rest of the mouth. Now the tongue obviously doesn't look perfect, it does look like a little bit artificial, but I think as far as I've personally done, it's one of my better attempts, so I'm happy with it. And we're going to flat colour. You can really just see everything going on in there. I like it. I do like that. I can also see just how some parts really clip together. Again, that's my mistake. I really wish I did just merge all the subtitles together, but it's too late for that now. That's okay though. So now that I've done the mouth overall, I kind of want to step away from the inside of the mouth for a bit. And what do I want to work on next? I'm going to go ahead and save. The overall colour, I just want to really just jump into more of the markings, to be honest. I do just want to add like a whole bunch of markings to the creature. So for that, I am going to primarily refer to like crocodiles. Actually, I think what I will do is, again, get that very dark colour. One thing I really want to do actually is just kind of mess around the mouth and just make everything look a bit more worn. So if I just do this, add like bits of white, maybe bits of black as well here and there. I just want to make it look a bit messy. Intentionally so. And around the bottom as well. I keep going back and forth with this. I keep deciding, like, or keep questioning, do I want the lower jaw to be like this pale colour? Do I want it to be like a dark colour? As I've been looking at crocodiles and I see it does vary. Some of them do have light under jaw, some of them are quite dark as well. I cannot decide. I think when I colour in like the bits in between the scales or the outlines, I think when I make that black, it's probably going to make a big difference. But until then, I keep going back and forth a lot. One other thing I want to do actually is just really mess up the patterning around the eye. That's a habit I have I'm trying to cut out, is that I often have the eyes just look very clean. Or at least the markings around the eyes look very clean. Especially the eyelids, I have a habit of making them just like a very dark, clean colour. Let's just try and... See, I don't like how that looks, but I'm keeping it. I'm specifically keeping that. That was just very quick there, very quick, very rushed. That was too rushed, that one there. I'm trying to like keep these bits here and there, because even though I might not always like it, that's probably a good thing. You know, if I don't always like it, well good, it means it looks hectic, it looks random. If it doesn't necessarily immediately appease me, it might grow on me. That kind of sounds a little bit weird, but you know what I'm saying. And just grab a bit of black, move all the black around everywhere. The tips, all of these little harder bits here. I want these to be dark, but they're too dark right now, so I'm just gonna... right now I'm like quite literally just scribbling around, just making markings, and if I don't like it, I undo it. If I do like it, I'll just leave it there and sit. And I think that right there already makes a pretty big difference. I mean, again, it looks very messy, but now... if I give a quick little demonstration, if I just now add all the scales, make them black... Ooh, that's a terrible example. Let's try that again, shall we? Let's go for like, what, -30? If I do that, with, you know, a bit more effort, I think that's going to look quite acceptable. Let's just try that again. Let's maybe the bottom jaw, because I was saying earlier about how I want there to be outlines. Ooh, there we go. See, look at that. One tiny little difference. Now that all the outlines are darker, it makes the entire jaw look darker, and now it looks more mottled. I don't mind it being pale. You know, as earlier I was saying I was going back and forth about it a lot. I really like that. I'm not keeping it yet though, so I know I want to do that, but I don't want to keep it yet because I am focused on other things first, and I feel like that the outlines like another beast entirely that I can, you know, go back and forth with the colour scheme on. And I plan on having them, you know, I do plan on them having be a bit multicoloured. Not too multicoloured, of course, more like, you know, greys and browns and such. Not like a consistent black everywhere. But again, that's something I want to do after I've done all the other colours. Oh, that's a bit harsh. Actually, that does remind me though, what if I start using spray? Just to get like all these different... Oh? Okay, yeah, this is definitely the bad side of working on very high resolution. I'm doing it to myself, I know it's not the best, but you get like a bit of lag every now and then. There we go, just all these random bits. I do also want like bits of black as well to penetrate through into the lighter areas. And to also just mess up the existing areas, because some parts like the thigh and the shoulders just look very, I wouldn't say plain. They look a bit too intense, I'd say. Again, I just want them to be like a bit more messy. I do think that the entire thing does need to be just a little bit lighter though. Yeah, I do kind of want it all to be just a little bit lighter. What I am gonna... Oh, God. Oh, you know what? I actually kind of like that. The way it kind of glitched down, got like very, very dark there. I do like that. I think I might do something about that in a moment, once I've done all this. But I'll just switch to flat colours, you can really see what exactly is happening here. I think, yeah, in some places I will make that a bit more intense, a bit more darker. You can see just how, like, really ugly the actual colour scheme looks now, as it's looking more and more chaotic. Again, this is my preference. Maybe it's not the right way to do things, but I do like this method. And I feel like that when it comes to the actual, you know, coloured, shaded creature, with all the shadows turned on, I do feel like it really works. Let's go back to there. Because now with all the shadows turned on, those defining the scales for us, the scales really kind of piece everything together, and now it just looks a bit more, I kind of want to say natural. I'm not sure if I'd call it natural yet, but I think we're definitely getting in a good direction. I do want to start using a different alpha now. In fact, I kind of want to start using some of my own custom alphas by this point, so let me go ahead then. And, for now, I'm just going to use scales. Even though it might not actually, you know, be coloured scales, I think it's still just like a nice alpha to work with. And go ahead and save. What I want for this is, what's like a good texture I can use? I think on second thought I should also import just some of these various other generic ones here. Yeah, that's actually a good idea, because I forgot I've got like a lot of paint splotches and such, which might sound a little bit weird. Honestly, alphas like this one here, just little paint splotches, are an absolute lifesaver. Like this one in particular. Oh, not that one. These two here are two of my favourites. Let me actually give a bit of demonstration, because one thing I did learn, just from practice like this, is creatures are very, very spotty. And I don't mean spots like acne. I mean like colour-wise. They just have dots everywhere. Little pock marks and dots absolutely everywhere. Even if you can't really see it immediately, they're just everywhere. And there's something about it that I remember a long, long time ago, my first ever like real realism test in sculpting was drawing or making a garden snake, and it just did not look right for the longest and longest time until I did spots. Little spots, little dots here and there, no rhyme or reason, no consistency or pattern, just dots everywhere. And my god, it just put it all together. It was absolutely perfect. I've been doing it ever since. I got a little bit preachy there. Let me see. Oh, that's an accident, but I like that. The only thing I don't like is that it looks super consistent. But I still kind of like it. Nah, I don't actually. I was really having mixed feelings there. But what if I did that, but as colour spray? That kind of works. Now, the difference between spray and colour spray is that spray tries to keep like the colours, like all the different randomised colours within the hue or the saturation or whatever of the colour you've chosen. Colour spray, however, just turns into a rainbow. Now, of course, you can't see it because it's so pale and doing such light brushstrokes. But, again, there's the smallest little difference. It just means that every little spray of colour here is going to be slightly different, ever so slightly different. Let's go to shadows here. Yeah, you can really see how it's looking more and more crazy. Oh, that's a bit too much. I would rather do this stage within the shadows, as that way I know just like the actual strength of them. So like I said, even though I like texturing in the flat colour, there is a definite advantage to colouring with shadows enabled, because it gets, you know, it's an actual like a real example of how it's going to look. The flat shadows is really nice, or the flat colour is really nice to see overall proportions, how things flow and grade together. But this is ideal for like getting the actual real results, what I want it to be when it's finished and rendered. And there we go. I feel like a couple of pieces here that are looking a bit, just a bit neglected, are now coming together as well, such as the entire leg here. The leg felt very neglected before. I'm just not very good at colouring these kind of areas or working with them in general. Same for hands and feet. They are my absolute kryptonite. But again, yeah, this is like really putting it together. I'm probably overkilling it. I probably am. But again, I like this. This is one of my favourite techniques. There we go. I feel like the entire thing just got a whole lot messier and a lot more natural looking forward. And the funny thing is that now that I'm zoomed out, you can't really see any of the spots, but you can feel it. You can really, really feel it. You can feel how messy this has gotten, how not one part of the colours are plain. Maybe around the back of the head here, actually, like the back of the neck might be a bit plain still. Let's just band a few of those in together, just really random quick strokes. A couple of like 8 marks here and there. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I feel like it just like really breaks it up apart a bit. Now we're doing a lot of white. I do want to go back and do a bit of black now. And that again, doesn't really matter where I do it to. In fact, I'm just going to do like a bit of a large broad strokes on the tail. The tail is the one area I'm not liking. It's just looking very neglected. Very flat, kind of boring. But I just don't know what to do for this. I'm going to be entirely honest, I don't know how to make it better. I could just like add stripes to it, but I feel like it just look really weird, honestly. I have a nasty habit, like, for sure, where, you know, like, you might get a bit more biased towards certain parts of your creature. Normally the face and the head. I definitely have that issue. I like making the head as pretty as I possibly can, and I get very lazy towards every other part. I'm trying my best to get out that habit. I feel like this here is a great example. I feel like I've really made huge, you know, like, leaps away from that habit. But you can see in some places I'm still, like, a little bit unpracticed. The tail, the hands, the feet. The trunk. This is the first time I've ever drawn a trunk. I think it looks okay though. So now that I've done all these black and whites, what I actually want to do now is... do I want to do markings? I kind of want to do like more of these spots. I also want to add a bit of colour to it. What if... this might be really weird. What if I did a bit of cyan here and there? I quite like that. Experimental, super duper subtle, but now you just start to see like little bits here and there, these little tiny sapphire scale, or not sapphire, cyan scales popping out. And it just makes it all look a bit richer. It's a bit more intense around the back. I actually quite like that. The back's going to be very rainbow coloured anyway later on. I still don't know how I'm going to do that. So I don't mind if it's a bit stronger there. I like that. Can I do the same again with like a different colour? Maybe like a bit of a yellow? Ooh, that's very vibrant. Let's see how this vibrant yellow works. It's a little bit too intense there. I feel like maybe if it was like a bit more of an orange, that could probably get away with the more harsher markings. No, I do want to turn it back to yellow actually. I want to get like a bit of a lime colour actually. Something a bit sickly looking. And this is something I do a fair amount of, is just add in random colours like this. You can see a lot of cyan around the midsection there, that's a bit too much for me. Actually, you know what? Nah, the cyan's getting a bit strong in general. Right, I'm going to step away from that one for a while now, but you can just see now a little subtle tiny bits of cyan everywhere. The lime is weird, but the cyan I think have really made it pop. Let us try red. Actually, let's go for like a nice deep dark red. And for this, what other... I kind of want to like step away from the splotchy colours now. I want to go for something a bit more dominant. Although I do like that one actually. Let's try this one. How is this going to look if I use a bit of this? Ooh, I do like that a lot. That might be how I do the back. And I've got a cat on my tablet now. Okay, he's moved on. No, he hasn't. Let me just move him quickly. Or move some space for him. I really like how that red comes out there. Now, I'm so torn. I want this to be a blue creature, but I love the way it bleeds in there. I'm going to get rid of it. That might be how I do the spine. Let me just add little bits here and there. Just little tiny subtle hues. Just so I remember it, so we know that there's a bit of colour there as well. I really like that. I was thinking earlier, I can't remember if I ever stated it, but I was thinking I did want to add a bit of colour to other pieces as well, so that it wasn't purely just a spine that was colourful, because that would look kind of strange. I mean, it's a strange creature anyway, but if it can like change its colours like a chameleon, then I feel like it should have a bit of colour differentiation in other places, just a little bit. Yeah, actually, honestly, I do really like that. I do really like that. Yeah, I'm going to add just like a little bits of red here and there, little red pockets. I feel like it really breaks apart all the blue, which has been looking far too clean, far too consistent. This just makes it look a bit, I don't know, it kind of makes it look a bit more reptilian, which I know is a really weird thing to say. Especially red, of all colours. This makes absolutely no sense, but it just feels... something about it, just the way it's breaking the colours apart, it just feels like it's got more scale texture. Maybe it's just me. I don't know, maybe I'm going crazy. I like it. Let's do a bit more down here. And do a bit more on the leg. The underbelly is being very neglected. Do I want to do it on the underbelly too? Oh, it does give it a bit of warmth. It does give it a bit of warmth, actually. Now, let me go and look at crocodiles for a second. Now, crocodiles have a very peachy neck. So what if I give it like this nice, nice intense peach colour? I want to have some like big distinct markings now. I want to start getting a bit more aggressive with this. That might be a bit too aggressive. I kind of like it. A little bit apprehensive, especially in areas like here. And especially around him, a little bit apprehensive. But again, like I was saying earlier, sometimes when there's a part I don't like, it just feels a bit right and I keep it anyway. That's what's happening right now. Some of these areas is that some of these markings I'm not 100%, but it feels right. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the way I do texturing, I don't really know what I'm doing. Every now and then, I do something weird and it feels like the right thing to do. Maybe that's why my colours look good, I don't know. I get people saying that the colours look really good. I'm hoping that is true and this is why. So maybe it'll help you. Although I think it's looking a bit chaotic. But again though, I honestly do like it. It's really weird. I think it's kind of unique actually. Although at the back of the foot there, that's a bit too much actually. Let's just go ahead and... yeah, there you go. Just do that a bit more subtly. The arms are looking incredibly lifeless. That's too much orange, but I'm going to keep it actually. I'm actually going to keep that marking there. Can I do the same on the other side? Yeah, just nice and subtle. Too much there. Far too much. Kind of like it. Too late. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's really coming out quite nicely. If anything, I feel like the base of the tail here is just looking kind of sad. For that, I think I will use like a bit more of a yellowish colour. It's got like a nice, like a nice bright yellow. Just do little bits again. Just want it to be a bit more warm. Although that there was a bit too much. There's a bit of lag there, I think, caused that to happen. There we go. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of lag because it took me quite a few attempts to undo that. Just make the entire centre part just a little bit brighter. I don't mind if it's a bit too saturated in some places. There we go. I'm liking that. I'm definitely liking it. A lot of the surfaces are starting to feel a lot less flat now. I still want the markings though. I don't even consider this markings yet. I think for the markings, honestly, I'm just going to go black. Just great big black parts here and there. Maybe even, what happens if I give them like a bit of a gradient? Ooh, that. Ooh. So I've got colour spray, that's right. So what I could do, this is going to be a big scary change right here. What if I just did one big long brush stroke like that? I don't like it. Yeah, I don't really like that actually. What if I did it again but black? Nah, don't like it either. I feel like we're on the right track though. I think we're on the way to getting something quite nice. Maybe if I use like a different texture. Maybe like that one there. Nah, I think a gradient is what's throwing it off. But if I don't have the gradient though, then the black is just like becomes this really weird like colourful pattern. Maybe if I do, yeah, just keep it back to regular spray so it keeps to within like the black and white colour schemes and not rainbow. No. Well, that did break it up quite nicely actually. Let's just undo all that for a second there. There we go. I do kind of like that. I do wish the light, light source is really screwing me a little bit here. I kind of want to look at it without the lighting, but with shadows. Is there like another material I can use for that? Eesh, definitely not that. Let me think. I guess, yeah, chalk kind of works actually, where I can still see a bit of the scales. That kind of works if I just do the same thing along here as well. In fact, you can start to see some of the, like, the really dark pits and how some of it is just like too dark. Maybe if I can lighten these areas in the chalk material, maybe it'll just look a bit better elsewhere. And the same down here as well, in fact. This is not doing very well for a black colour scheme though. But I think, yeah, I think that did do a good job of just like lowering the intensity slightly. Now again, I want those big black markings. That's what I really, really want. If I can look at some crocodile images quickly, yeah, they do have like a lot of big black scales here and there. So this is the thing that does happen for me sometimes, is I do just like get a little bit stuck, do like a little bit of trial and error. Completely normal. I think, yeah, I think this might be the gradient of having like a really, ooh, like a really large alpha may have been what's caused me jip. So if I have this now, do some like really harsh, high pressure strokes here and there, it is getting like a bit of a different colour scheme. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna undo all that. So I'm gonna save a copy. And I'm just gonna do a model of like those markings everywhere. So let's just quickly undo all that. Okay, let's just save a copy. Right, let's just save that then, and then we're going to save up a backup here. The old backup's no longer necessary, so I'm quite happy to overwrite it. So now I've got two versions of this, so for this one I can now go a little bit more crazy with some experimenting. This is something I definitely do every now and then, is save backups to do a lot of experimenting, because that way I can really go crazy, I can really do like a lot of risks. If I don't like it, that's okay, just reload the backup. Something I really like about digital art is the ability to just load a backup like that. So like I said, I did want some intense black markings. Oh, you know what? I think I know what's going wrong with this. I think I know why it's not quite working with me. Let me quickly do that, and I'm going to do something very, very simple when it loads. And I'm going to enable cavity mask. Set it back to like what? Positive 30? So what's going to happen here is it's only going to affect the top of the scales, not the indentations in between. So the outlines in between are going to be nice and clear and untouched. And let's just see what happens if I do that. Oh, you can really see them pop out now, can't you? Along the scales. You can probably see it a lot more if I remove the shadows. Oh, that's because it's pure black. For some reason, ZBrush doesn't like jet black. There we go. Oh, nah, you can really, really see the effect there. How the outlines are like just completely left alone. I think that may have been what was making it look very strange before, was the fact that it was just these random giant black areas that were just like completely overpowering. If I only affect the scales, which makes sense, you would only affect the scales in this case, that is looking quite a bit more convincing. Yeah, see little areas like that. They're a bit weird, they're a bit jarring, but I'm liking it, I'm liking it. You know, I was saying earlier about how I didn't want to colour the edges around the scales yet, because I had ideas. This right now, if I'd already coloured in the edges of the scales, this right now would have messed it up. They're definitely a final touch for me. Such as around here, now I know, okay, this area here, I want the bits in between the scales to be quite pale, to really make the blacker scales stand out. And I could, oh, that's too much. I was going to say, I could also do the same around here. So I do also feel like this area here is a bit too clean. So I'll just do that. There you go, it's super subtle, look at that. Really, really subtle. Set that back to 100. Do a bit more around the head. You see, if I didn't set that back up, I would not have risked this at all. I would have been so afraid to risk this if it wasn't for the backup. So now I'm happy to go crazy and just see what I think. I honestly quite like that little imperfection right there. I do like that. Not that one though, it's a bit too much. Let's see. More little bits of markings here and there. Just little pits and divots. Little splotches of black and white. Let's do a bit of white. Ooh, ooh. Nope, don't like that. Ooh, I kinda don't like that. It's a bit too pale. But I am liking this overall direction. It's definitely looking more and more and more messy. It definitely might look too messy. I'm very well aware of that possibility. Let's do a bit more. This might also be the thing that makes the tail stop looking so flat. And do like a big dark line there. Another big dark broad stroke. Got some very deep bits of black there. I don't really mind that too much. So a bit around the back of the legs, which again are looking very plain. Bit around the feet. The feet is something I plan on really utilising the scale outlines for. I think that's going to really make those pop out, because right now, again, they're looking very flat. But I do just want to muddy them up a little bit with some dark all around here. And that is, yeah, that's looking significantly more rich. And it's starting to look a lot less plain, in my opinion. Some of the black is a bit intense. Especially around here. If anything, rather than toning down the black here, I kind of want to intensify it a little bit in some places. What if I remove the spray entirely and just stick with like pure black? I think that might get me a bit more luck. And I now want to start adding some more stripy looking textures here and there. In fact, you know what? I've never done stripes this way before. Oh, what was that? Go away. I've never done stripes this way before. Could this be the way I do stripes? Because that right there is looking a bit convincing. I do like that. I find stripes are so difficult. It's funny because I really like stripy things. I have such a hard time doing them though because the stripes are just not clean by the slightest. It's really hard to get like natural looking clean sharp stripes that don't look artificially sharp. This very well could be my solution. There you go, just big old random markings here and there, giving absolutely no thought, no regret, just chucking them in. My only regret actually is that it's not really making much of an effect on the... I really don't like this big, I guess really fake looking tendril, I'd almost want to call it. That big, tougher bit of looking scale, that's looking so weird. The more and more I'm working into this. But I kind of need to live with it, don't I? But overall though, yeah, see now the tail looks a bit more loved. It doesn't really look stripy, but it does look like it's got a bit of a thing going on. I really like the neck. I think the neck, weirdly enough, might be my favourite part. The face, now that we come all the way back to the face after a long journey, it actually feels a bit plain. Not a bit plain, a bit too messy, ironically, despite everything I've been doing. So, what I want to do for this is, I do want to be just a little bit lighter, a bit cleaner. Maybe all around here. Still got cavity switched on, so I'm still only working the top of the scales, not the underneath. What here is looking weird? It could honestly be the teeth. And now that I think about it, I've not done any of this cavity stuff with the tongue either. I need to think about that too. In fact, for the tongue, what if I just do a bit of a white? Oh, that is horrible in the best way. Oh, that is perfect. It looks so cracked and gross. Yeah, cavity, my best friend. Let's do a bit more of that. I kind of like the way that looks actually. I'm going to keep that. All around the jaw where the teeth meet. Do the same thing on the upper jaw as well. Like get some of these whiter areas with the cavity switched on. So like I said, a lot of things that I do with texturing are just little accidents here and there. Little experiments that really pay off. Want a bit of white all the way back inside this gross darker areas. There we go. The tongue does look a lot more pale now, but I honestly quite like it. There's something just about the mouth that still feels horribly off. I think it's this very pale, whitish, yellowish thing, the trunk. I think it's a trunk that's really throwing me off here. But I don't think there's really much I can do about that. Something about it just feels really weird. But I don't think I can really fix it. Saying that, I do actually think that the inside of the nose should probably be pink instead of black. I think that would probably make it just look a bit better. If I just quickly select that instead, I think that'll just be like such a subtle little thing that'll make it pop. Because I forgot to turn off my current alpha, the little spotty scale one does actually make it look a lot better. Funny enough. I think that could be a major thing here, is that a lot of this does just feel really, really lifeless. All of this here just feels really unsettling. So if I give it just a little bit of warmth, all around like that, that already looks better. Yeah, just that little bit of warmth there. Just to really tie in the two different textures together, that made a tremendous difference. Cool, right, I am really, really happy how this is coming along. We go into flat colour. Yeah, you can just see how much of a mess it is. That is one poor, chaotic looking thing. Absolutely chaotic. Just look at the detail in that mouth, my goodness. So that's what I like to see. Where there's so much detail that you can actually see all the so that's what I like to see here. There's just so much colour and definition, you can see all the details without the details even being visible. This is pure colour, no shadows, yet you can see exactly what's going on inside the mouth, or on the tongue. I like that. Maybe overkill, but I feel like it really pays off in the end. Let's quickly save. I'm gonna save it as colour 2. Just because, I don't know, just in case. It's a bit of a habit of mine. Maybe too much of a careful habit, but I like saving more and more backups until I'm 100%. Right. Now then. I'm looking at all this, I'm getting very happy. One thing I'm going to do though, is even though I'm really liking it so far, I am actually going to look at just like some of my references of like existing paleo art of dinosaurs. And just see if there's like anything vital I'm missing. I guess one thing I'm missing is splotchiness. So I am going to do a bit of splotchiness. I'm going to re-enable the cavity mask. I mean, I say splotchiness like a really clearly defined splotches, I really should say. Like big, you know, as if someone just got a paintbrush and just like absolutely slapped the creature with it. And got like a big, kind of like that one there. I think that might be a good example. Let me see. Yeah, I think that one. So if I just did like a single great big, oh no, wrong colour entirely. I want it to be like a bit of a yellow colour. I want to suit the underbelly. Kind of like that here and there. One more like that. Another one up there. I kind of don't like it being up there actually. Maybe around the neck might be best. So some higher bits here and there. Definitely around the inner part of the neck, around there. Let's see. The head, the mouth here, even though I just cannot settle this area here. I keep it going back and forth. Let's just do like a really pale bit around the teeth. Again, just want it to be nice and splotchy. And this is where I'm starting to get grateful that I did save another backup, because I'm not 100% with this area here, so in case I completely give up on it, I can just go revert. I'm actually going to turn off the cavity for this little area here in particular. I do actually want this to be like quite consistent, quite clean. Just a little bit. I can redefine it later when I do the outlines of the scales, the reverse cavity. There we go. I think all that's here should be about almost as light. Kind of like that. Oh, actually I like that bit there. Having a bit of a lightness. A bit more around the eye. Like that. And I think, maybe, ooh. Nah, that's a bit too much in my opinion. Let me have a think. Oh, you know what? That I do quite like. Just actually manually drawing in some little stripes here and there. Intentionally trying to be a bit rushed here, because I do not want it to look perfect. That one at the end there did look a bit weird. But I'm keeping it. One thing I'm really neglecting is the fins here. I feel a little bit bad about that, but again, I just do not know how to texture. Although, actually, ooh, this alone is definitely making a bit more of a appealing effect. Not what I had in mind, but I like it, so I'm just going to keep it. Again, I know it's a little bit lazy, but I really don't know how to cut those areas in, but I'm liking this technique so far. One thing that has been bothering me is actually just how weird the spine tier have been, so if this colour bleeds over a little bit, I'm actually really preferring this right now. It's a lot brighter, but I actually really like that compared to before. The back here, like the back of these here they're meant to be pale too. I think it might be a bit late for that. Maybe I'll just make it like a little bit here and there. I think that brings it out a little bit, maybe? I kind of like it. A bit of imperfection. A bit of just a random colour choice there. I quite like that. Right. Maybe a bit more around the arms as well, actually. Little highlights here and there. Maybe where the skin folds. Oh, not that last one. That was terrible. Saying that, actually, that looks a bit too jarring. In fact, screw it. We're just going to make the fingers pale. There you go. I was avoiding it for so long. I think it just needs it. Then again, just follow a lot of the curves. A lot of the creases, a lot of the folds. Do some more striping. As I personally feel like it's really breaking things apart a little bit. In a positive way. I feel like around the arms I did a bit too much. So I'm just going to do a little bit more. But a lot more toned down. Yeah, there you go. That looks okay. That's definitely looking okay. Yeah, I like that. The whole thing looks so dark now. Oh, it looks really, really dark. Oh, I hate the mouth. I love it. I love and hate the mouth. Right. Now the next thing. The next thing is save. I think I do finally want to do the outlines now. So for that, let me see. I know that for crocodiles they have like very dark outlines between the scales. So I'm going to go for brown actually. I'm going to go like with a very, very dark brown. I don't want it to be black. I don't want it to be grey. I think a brown would probably be the best choice. And I'm gonna go, instead of a flat colour, I'm gonna go with that. So it's a bit mottled. Oh, that's a bit weird. This might be a bit tricky, this next bit. What if I did it around here? Oh, I kind of like that. I like it being a bit subtle, actually. But I feel like in some areas it might need to be darker. I think I will add a bit of black parts. Or what if I did have them be a bit pale? No, not there anyway. Definitely not there. So I do want it to be some places, such as around right here, where the scales blend to the outline a bit more. But I don't want that everywhere. So on the back, for example, on the back, I do want the scales to be very clearly separated. But in some of the more pale, delicate areas, like the neck, I don't mind if they blend and bleed a bit more together. Let's just make that bit there a lot more defined. There we go. Let's make this bit here a bit more of a brown. In fact, I might even want to make that lighter. I especially want that all along the jaw. I'm going to keep this darker shade here, actually. I feel like it breaks it apart quite a bit more. I want it to be quite strong all around here. Now, do I want it to be light up here? No. No. Right now, I'm starting to feel like I'm preferring it to be light, darker everywhere, and I don't really want that, to be honest. Ooh. Oh, that looks a bit crazy. Not what I want, no. But it did look kind of interesting, actually. What if I did that, like, along the inside of the mouth? Ooh. Ooh. Maybe. Let's enable back face. Get rid of the teeth. And it kind of looks like I'm blurring everything, actually, but in reality, I'm just making the outlines a bit lighter. This is like I was saying earlier, I wanted the option to be able to do all this independently. So that I can bleed and change a lot the colours the way I see fit. Let's make the mouth a little bit more pale like that. Same for the inner part here. Oh, that's really gross if I do that inverted like that. Do I like the lightest outlines there? I'm a bit torn. If I gave it darker ones, that just looks kind of weird as well. I kind of actually like it going a bit lighter like this. It feels like it's a bit more delicate, a bit more fleshy in that area. But then if I want the above parts to be a bit darker, I think that will probably work out as well. What if I made like an area here, lighter scales? Or lighter outlines? That doesn't really work either. Okay, that's okay. But I felt like the face has overall popped out a lot more. Let me see then. How am I going to colour all of these? Around here, I do again want to be like this nice lighter brown. Well, I say light brown, it's still like darker compared to everything else. So I don't want to do it everywhere actually. Like here and there will be hints of it. But I think like on the absolute underbelly, I think I'm actually going to leave that to be quite plain. I'm going to muddy up the scales all around here. But then around here, I feel like they just should be darker, like that. It's probably so subtle, I'm not even sure if you can really see what exactly I'm doing here. But, I don't know, at least you can see like I'm putting some effort into it, or some thought. Let's see, I want those bits there to be a bit darker. I definitely want the scales around the hands to be darker. So you can really see like all the independent scales. I feel like this is a bit of a nice solution to my issue with doing hands and feet, is that if I can outline the scales, that like really does a lot of the detail for me. There is a lot of detail there, I just don't really know how to bring it out. So I think if I make the scales pop out like this here is doing, I think it really returns to detail, if that makes sense. Let's do it all around there. All around there. I even wanted to be a bit more dark around it. In fact, maybe even with the hands and feet, I think it probably makes sense. A lot of the outlines here are darker because you think, right, the creature's going to be walking around. The cracks between the scales are probably going to be quite muddy. So it makes sense all this here would be a lot darker. At least, in my mind, that makes sense. But notice how it's never consistent. Notice how some outlines are a lot more defined than others. How some scales really blend in, but others are really high defined. That random nature there is something I really like. As I think if every single scale was like as clearly defined as each other, I think that would just look really... that would look really complicated and quite tiresome after a while. Let's see. Some of the scales up here have got like a pale outline. I actually kind of like that. I want to keep that in. I want to make all of this here brown. And it is making the entire thing darker, but again, I'm kind of liking it. I might even go back and make some of the outlines here a bit more of a yellow. Maybe. Keep that brown going. And then have it be a bit more black along the top of half here. You can really see the lag. Oh dear, oh dear, why do I do this to myself? Actually, why not just my poor computer? I think in these areas here, I think yellow would really match them. Or more like a bit of like a golden orange. And of course, we've got all this up here. This is all looking very plain. In fact, this is shadowed and it's looking very plain. Which is saying something. Now that's a big fleshy area, so in theory it should look right having lighter scales. Which I like. Ooh, hello. Ooh, that is weird. I do like that. It's a bit too intense there for my liking. That's even more intense. Let me just... there you go, a bit more subtle. That is interesting. And you know what? Actually, when I do that... oh, that's way too much. Oh, that's also really nice looking. When I did that earlier, it actually kind of finally looks like the skin's webbed over the hump. See, for the longest time, like if you look on the left-hand side there, it just looks like it's weirdly poking out. This here, for the first time, it looks webbed over. I really like that. Now it finally feels like one big coherent piece. See, I've been avoiding colouring in these spines for so long, or like making them blend and be yellow for so long, because I want them to be clearly defined, and apparently that was the biggest mistake. Having them actually be a little bit bled into the rest of it really made it pop out. Okay then, is there anywhere that I have not added scales to? Or outlines, like you can really see it here now. There's a bit around here that's looking a bit plain, but I'm actually kind of okay with that. Around here, I think could use... Oh, actually, don't know about that. Maybe check a little bit dark around there, just a little bit. A little bit around here as well. A little bit there, a little bit here. So you can see how only some of them are defined. A good majority, but not every single scale, not every single surface. Oh, you can, wow, okay, you can really see how the spines here are completely neglected. Let me just go over and just smack a bit of black into all of them. Now, I did just say I was thinking about making the webbing part between a bit more of an orange. So doing this is okay because I can easily overwrite that. But those bits there were looking very, very neglected. Let me see. I guess it's kind of more acceptable up here, actually. This whole area here just looks weird. There we go. God, it looks like such a mess. When you see it like that. It looks awful. Right, let's get that golden yellow. Orange. Something like that, I think, would do it justice. And for that, let me go back to Skin Shade 4. Ooh, a bit too intense. Let's go like a bit more rusted. A bit warmer. Yeah, okay. This is... Oh, yes, I like this. Maybe a bit too warm in some places, but I think it just brings it out. And just quickly splash it on everywhere. I don't really mind if it bleeds onto the spines. I'm just breaking up the monotony. Just want it all to look a bit different here and there. Do the same up here as well. Oh, that's a bit too much. Do the same thing up here as well. Actually works quite nicely up here because there is a bit of darkness. Or lightness, I should say, actually. And yeah, happy with that. Do I want to do the same up here? Ooh, no I don't. It looked interesting, but I don't want to do that. Now, for, again, the underbelly. Like, I keep on getting to the underbelly and feeling a bit stuck here. Because the crocodiles do have, like, these really strongly defined scales around the underbelly. But I feel like I may have just, like, added too much detail here in general. So now if I do, like, a big... Ooh, that's the wrong colour. So now if I do just, like, a big, you know, dark thing like that... It's just too much, isn't it? That's like far too cluttered. So I think I may have actually been my own mistake there. What if I was to make it... What if I just made it light? That is... No, I don't really like it. I like how different it is. But it just feels a bit much. I could use it, however, just to, like, make a few areas here just a bit more pale. I kind of like it. A little bit. I'm a bit torn. But I think for the most part, I think it actually helps it. Yeah, cool. Okay. It's looking very black and white now, isn't it? But I really like the face. I think the face just looks so ugly in a really ideal way. Let's go ahead and save again. Now, for the part that I've been really dreading is the spine. Now, I think for the actual colours of the spine, I'm realistically what I'm going to do is probably going to be quite lazy because I don't know how to do this bit because it's so... There's nothing like it. So I think what I might just do is grab... what was that one brush I was using earlier? This one here. Just grab that, do positive cavity mask. Oh, that's a bit much. And then just splash it on top. Kind of like that. Oof. Yeah, this bit here is going to be a bit of a struggle, actually. I think maybe I should use the more splashy parts like... Oh, actually, I've not been using this at all, have I? Ooh, that, I don't think I really can use that. Let me just take a step back before I work on the spine. I forgot about this alpha. This is one of my favourite alphas to use, and I like it for adding stripes like that. Maybe that's what I was missing earlier, actually. Earlier, when I was trying to add like the big patchy, spotchy pieces, I may have done it in reverse. What if I did that? There you go. So now it makes... Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that. I really like that. So instead of adding pale, splotchy pieces, it makes the darker pieces splotchy, if that makes sense. It kind of breaks it apart for me. Just does it in reverse. Yeah, so like I said, one of my favourite alphas, that one. Definitely one of my favourites. Maybe just do a little bit around the mouth. Oh, no, that's kind of bled it together a bit too much. But I really like that. It's just added in a bit of bands here and there. There we go. Right, maybe like one more up there? Just a little bit? Yep, cool. Back to what I was initially doing then. Trying to figure out these colours. So again, big rainbow colour scheme. Let's just save it. And maybe I should just do lines. See, the way I've got it in the original concept I had... In fact, you know what? In my original concept, I've got a spine backwards. Huh. So in the original one, I had like this big yellowy splotch up here. Or in the original one, more like up here. But I can't really fit it in here, can I? But the thing is though, do I want to go that whole splotchy thing? Oh, I just don't know. This is going to look really weird. This is by far going to be like probably the hardest part. Let's look up a chameleon quickly. Oh wow, okay, some chameleons are crazy, unrealistically vibrant. I really have no choice here, do I? Okay, it turns out nature can be crazy, crazy vibrant. Right, in that case, what if I made it a gradient? I think that might help me a little bit. What if I made this like a brown? Like a really nice, dark, warm brown. Like that. That actually really helps. I want this to be splotchy. I think if I made it like into big shapes, I think that would just look really weird. So there you go. I kind of want this to be a... I can't believe I'm doing this bit. This is a bit like... I think it's probably the bit that a lot of people are waiting for. Oh no, I just did that the wrong colour. Okay, that's about the thing I wanted. Let's make that nice. Deep red, which should be around here. Oh god, yeah, this is a moment I've been dreading. I think this is a moment a lot of people have been waiting for. Right, now I want this bit here to be like a nice deep orange. It's shaping, it's kind of coming together a little bit. It looks so weird. Let's do like a bit of a lime green. Right around there. I think this is going to be like the really polarizing thing. I think a lot of people are going to love this. A lot of people are going to hate this bit here. I think this is going to be where it gets like really jarring and weird for a lot of people. Then again, that is the entire point of this. This is meant to be weird. It's meant to be weird, but this is getting a bit too weird. It looks like someone just got like, it looks like a chalk drawing on the pavement. It looks really bad. If anything, it looks a bit repetitive. I think it's got potential. All things considered, I think this has got potential. I think the proportions are really off. Let me reload that. I'm gonna try that one again. What am I on? Wait, what version am I on now? Color 2. I'm gonna try that again, actually. That's why you always save frequently and save backups. So, let me grab that dark brown again. I think the dark brown really tied together. That did me such a service. So let's just grab that again. And let's grab, we'll start with the red. We're going to start with like a nice deep dark red. Enable gradient. And I'm going to be a bit more brave with it this time. So we're going to make it a lot more wider. And around the middle, it's going to be a bit more intense, like that. I think this. And even make it bleed a little bit around the neck. I think this might be what I want. Maybe around here be like a bit more intense. Oh, I kind of like, oh, I do kind of like the way it bleeds up. It's a bit strange, but I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of leaning towards it. Well, the orange should be a bit brighter. Let me see, make that all a little bit pale, a bit subtle. But around here, make it a bit more intense. A bit stripy, in fact, if anything. If it curves around, I actually really don't mind that. See, like a nice big yellow area. I think yellow, because it's such a bright colour, is going to be quite dominant. As it'll bleed into the green a lot. And again, we're just going to do like a big old stripe there. I think the stripes are what's really making a difference. It's so weird. This is really quite difficult for me, actually. But this is the concept. I think this is working. I think this looks better than the first one did. Yeah, I think having it be a bit stripy, a bit squiggly is really, 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 really helping. Let's do like a bit more of a cyan. Around here. Make that a lot bigger, actually. And because the undercolor is just so rich, because there's just like so many blues and reds that like already exist on the base of this creature, it's actually giving this like a lot of splotchiness that I really don't intend, and it's really helping bringing it out, in my opinion. I'm getting a bit neglectful at the top there. This one's looking very purple. Why is that looking so purple? I think it might be mixing a bit too much with the existing reds. I think this is working though. I'm definitely getting a bit more confident with this. Yeah, that's looking really purple. Oh, it's because of the brown. That's why. If I was to get rid of the brown then. Hey, that's what I'm after. Let me just make that a little bit lighter then. There we go. Because I did switch a gradient, it was like bringing out a bit more colour than I intended. I do want to switch gradient back on though, just so it's a bit consistent. So all of this here could be the purple area. And then again, switch off gradient so I can get it be a bit more intense around there. Actually, I don't think it needs it. That purple's really strong. That looks acceptable. Oh my god, I've actually added a rainbow to this. And it actually looks kind of acceptable. I'm a little bit surprised. I was really, really worried about how I'd do this bit here. My goodness. But I think it worked. Now, like I said, this is probably going to be a really polarizing thing. I think a lot of people are going to hate this because it looks so bizarre. But, all things considered, I think I made it look quite okay. I just want to add a little bit of colour to all of this here. Maybe like a bit of cyan actually might be a bit better. There you go, all like that. I can't believe I added a rainbow to it. It looks like it just looks like a chalkboard or a pastel drawing. Let's compare that to chameleon again. So from what I can see of chameleons, the in-between of the scales are very red. Do I dare? Let's give it a go. Let's just see what happens if I make the underscales red. Well, it definitely looks more chameleon. That's like a chalk drawing, and that does make it look more organic. Huh. That really does. I'm very surprised, actually. Okay, well, the tricky part is, how am I going to transition this big fleshy red hide? How am I going to transition that into, you know, the rest of the creature? Because this creature's like such big, brawny, dark scales. Maybe if I just add like a bit of it here and there, like if I don't make the entire thing red, just make it kind of like flow. Yeah, I think that does make it pop out a little bit more. Oh, it's so weird. I think it makes sense if it can bleed into the tail a little bit. I like that. That's so bizarre looking. That one bit of yellow there is really, really bothering me. I do need to get rid of that. I do not... I know I liked a bit of bleeding earlier, but that is way too much. I'm saying bleeding a lot today. I really hope that it makes sense in the context I'm using it in. I've been using that word so much, it's a little bit strange. I kind of like it. Now the rest of the creature feels so dark by comparison. Let me think. What if I did? Now we have that to offset it by. What if I did add like a bit of yellow here, for example? It kind of works. A little bit unconvinced. What about like around back here as well? I'm a bit unconvinced. Let's see if we can try that red again. I fell in love with the red. Oh, let's try that green. Ooh. Ooh, the green. The green's doing a little bit of magic. Maybe down the arms? Ooh, that's doing a bit of something. That's definitely making the creatures look a little bit multicoloured, which I think is kind of needed by now. Now that we've got the big rainbow sail, everything else does feel really flat by compare. Like, the colours were feeling great earlier, but adding that sail has made everything just feel really so dark and dreary by comparison. So now back to adding a bit more red again. Giving it a bit more life. I really don't mind the colour of the heads. I think there's so much information around the head, I don't think it needs any more colouring to compensate for it. Yeah, I think that's actually looking quite fantastic. You can hear how hesitant I am. I'm gonna save it as number 3. I have such mixed feelings. But honestly, I really like it. It looks so weird. I wonder... The finishing touch on the, or at least on the sail itself, might be some splotches. Let's get some really big splotches. Like, yeah, let's get some of these ones here. What if I was just to do that? Because chameleons do have, you know, a couple like really big ones here and there, don't they? So we've got like a little bit there. Let's do like a little bit here. Let's do like a bit of a blue one. Here, bit green's looking very neglected and shrunk there. That's making it look a bit more random, a bit more natural, a bit less like a chalk drawing. I think, yeah, adding some of the splotches is helping. Now that I've done that, actually. Now I've done that, what if I did some white? Maybe not, actually. Yeah, I think that helped. What if I go back to my old favourites? Which was... What was it? This one here. Forget like a big dark black. Ooh, I do like that. Because this entire area here, the purple and the blue just feels really cumbersome. It just is blended in too much together. So if I can just get like this to separate it. That's a bit too much in that last stroke there, but I think otherwise that kind of helps. Yeah, this entire area here does just feel a bit far too blurred together. Oh, but that just then did help it. I quite like that. I do. I'm very uneasy about it because it's such a bizarrely different thing that I've ever done before, but I do honestly like that as a result. Right then. I think I've spent enough time painting the body, at least for now. So I think now it's finally time to do a bit of teeth, bit of spikes. I've been severely neglecting those areas. Let me just quickly look at my references then. See how people do their dancer teeth. It seems to be typically quite clean looking teeth, kind of like a crocodile. Let's just get like a reference to the crocodile teeth for myself. I think this is going to be, like I said earlier, fairly pearly, a little bit discolored, a little bit brown and orange, with very pale, you know what, having black teeth like that really reminds me of a Thanator. That's like some Avatar stuff right there. But I don't like it though, I don't want that. Yeah, I do want it to have like some rather stained teeth. In fact, what I normally do, I do normally make my teeth very dark first, like this. fill that in, and then I manually colour it in afterwards. Let me see. Like this. There we go. And we'll make that bit there like pure white. So if I just zoom out, go back in like this. It's a very hit or miss strategy. Sometimes it works perfectly, sometimes it looks really weird. I'll tell you what, actually, I do want to just do all that again. I want to do that a lot darker. Really dark. There you go, like that. Because I want the roots to be very, very dark. And then manually colour in the entirety of the tooth, just the base of it anyway. As I will just go back and do like the rest of it in a moment, like all the whiter parts. Do the inside and the outside. Oh dear. And we'll do the same thing to the lower teeth as well. Right, so that's the general base of the teeth so far then. Now I'm going to want to make it just very pale by the tips. So you can see how the roots are going to be quite dark, and that should now make it fade a lot better into the rest of the tooth. I don't really like that alpha. I might even consider just making it like a plain alpha like that. Default. That, honestly, looks a bit better. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better actually. Very clean. Which is kind of ironic considering I've spent the entire session saying about how I don't want it to be clean. Right, so now we have the teeth so far then. Now, one thing I do want to do is just actually go back and use that alpha again, the one I just ditched. Is I do want to make these just a little bit messy, so really, really subtle. Oh wait, let's just do that again. Really, really subtle, just want to add like a little bit of staining. Just kind of like scribble it in. There we go. So I do want them to look clean, but not, you know, pristine. They were looking very pristine just a second ago. Same thing again down here. Want these to look just slightly used. And I think they'll look a lot more natural. Because they're looking a bit too pearly white a moment ago. And there we go then. There we go. I think that's looking a lot better for the teeth so far. Now, one thing I do like to do, which technically isn't the slightest bit required, but it's something I really like doing anyway, is I do like just making the roots around the teeth shadowed. So for that, actually for that, I'm going to go ahead and use, where is it? This? Oh, that's too much. There you go, just like adding just a bit of a darkness around the gums, around the tooth. I've accidentally left cavity on, but I actually like that. So I'm going to keep it. And all I want to do is just make the area where the teeth meet the gum just look a little bit, just a little bit darker. Oh, that's a bit too dark. There we go. That way they don't look just, you know, artificially shoved in. This way it should just look a little bit more, again, like a bit more natural, a bit more blended together. Do it on the other underside here as well. This one I'm going to remove cavity because it's kind of bothering me. And then just do a bit of that. Might be a little bit too dark in some places, but because this area will be so shaded, I don't really mind that too much. There you go, a little bit around there. Especially around here, for like this right here, it's probably the most important area. There we go. And I don't really need to do that with the bottom jaw. I think I will anyway, actually. It's not really necessary down here because it's got the whole crocodile feature of just like protruding out of the jaw. Don't have to worry about the gums being the same shade, but I do feel like that looks a bit, it still looks a bit weird without it, so I'm just going to go ahead and, there you go, just a little bit. I think it's around the front teeth where it looks the most shoved in. Oh, that's a bit way too much. There we go. Bit around there, bit around there. And that's about realistically all I need. I'm just going to do a line just to connect them all. There we go. Fantastic. Good. Good. Alright then. Oh my god, that is a face. That face is so horrible in the best way. The tongue feels really clean by comparison to everything else. I do just want to, like, add just a bit of splotch to the tongue. Just, I don't know, like, that. Yeah, there we go, just that alone. Maybe around the tip of the tongue as well, actually. Ooh, it's a bit too much. Actually, I kind of like that. There we go. Just because it was feeling really, really clean earlier, it felt very, very weird. There we go, now it looks a bit more, you know, used. Now the next up, I got that rainbow. The next up is now the spines. I think the spines might be about the same as the teeth, probably just a bit darker actually, so for that I am going to grab that colour, grab that root colour of usually teeth and use that for all the spines. Is that all of them? No, it's just the neck. It could be all of them actually. Yeah, it is all of them, of course. The neck and tail. I kind of like these being dark actually, honestly. In that case, let me keep that. I'm going to make the spines just like a jet black maybe. And I want to make them turn to grey. I think that might do it justice. Maybe. In fact, let me gradient that. And I want it to be like a bit of a dusty brown. Oh, that's a bit of an orange. Don't like the orange. Yeah, I want it to be like a bit of a brown. And I think there might be the right alpha for it. If I just do that. It's gonna look a bit too brown actually. I think it'll be fine. Let's just do that for now. Then we can always just like add another layer onto it afterwards. Okay, that's all of the spines now darkened. Or lightened more like. I think I've changed my mind, or at least with the under ones here, I do want these to be lighter all around here. So let me just... Oh, that's... changed the wrong thing. Let's just go ahead and disable that. Yep, keep that, cool. I do want these to be lighter. I don't know how I'm going to do these, actually. Maybe they should be white, like the teeth. Yeah, I do kind of like that. Honestly. I think, again, if I just make it like a bit messy, a bit hectic in the way I texture it. I think from a distance, nah, from a distance it does look a little bit strange. Maybe because the roots are so dark. Oh, sorry if I'm spinning it so much. I kind of, very, very mixed. Very, very mixed. What if I just like give it a bit of a quick orange hue? That does piece it together a bit more. Okay, I do like that actually. I think for the ones up here, yeah, just like maybe like a bit of a mottled thing going on. So I think these should be quite dark. In fact, doing it that way makes it kind of like quills, which is definitely not a bad thing. Let's do the same on the tail. Okay, from a distance, I'm definitely liking that. I do actually like how the upper ones are a little bit more decolored. I think it just looks a bit more interesting. That one there needs to be a bit better. There we go. Yeah, I do quite like that. It's a bit odd, but I do like it. Right. Osteoderms. I don't know how I'm going to do this. See, now by this point, I'm a little bit drained. I think for the osteoderms, we'll make everything like a really dark blue. I think we'll do the same thing we're doing everywhere else, and then just highlight the tip of it, I think, kind of like that. And again, I've left cavity on, so this is actually really benefiting me. It's like accidentally highlighting certain details. The osteoderms, realistically, I should also make like a bit chaotic in colour. This is another piece I should have just merged into the rest of the subtool, or the rest of the model. Just like the mouth, it should have been one big singular piece. I should have done that with these. Mistake on my part. Learning, of course. Let's just do that. Make it all a little bit lighter. With a nice dark shadowy root, if you will. If we zoom out, it's mainly the big ones up here that just look the weirdest right now. So I think for these ones up here... Why did that look so weird? Is it the lighting? It could actually just be the lighting. If we go ahead and make it flat for a second... They're not too different, actually. I mean, they're not... Definitely not synced, but they're not quite weird either. Maybe if I just, like, give, like, a bit of a... Yeah, if I just do that and make them a little bit light around the tips to match the underbelly scales. It's crazy. You can really see, like, just a sheer volume of, like, different things going on with the actual hide of this creature. All the different layers I've splattered on and on and on again. Let's just do all that. And that should make it blend a lot better, some of the lighter areas. Wow, you can really see the colours around here, can't you? Where's the other one? There's one right there. There it is. Okay, how about that? How'd that look? Skin shade 4? Ooh, I do quite like that. I don't mind if they stand out. I do not mind if they stand out. The next thing is the claws. Ooh, the claws. Now, I actually did do like a little bit of claw practice a while ago, and I did find that they're quite... where's my little eagle, actually? My little eagle example. Give me one moment. So as you can see here, I did do a bit of a practice with this a while ago where I had like these big eagle talons, and I think that would be a really good reference, actually. Referencing my own artwork, that's a bit of a new one. And for this one, I will again just make this... I'm just going to make it black, may as well. Really dark. In fact, I want to do both the back claws and the front claws at the same time. Oh, whoops. What happened there? Give me one moment. I want to make that black. That's not black. Can I make it black? It won't work. That's a little bit concerning. Okay, little ZBrush error aside, let's try that again and just try and colour in the toes. It does not want to work. That is really odd. These are super low res though, so maybe let them divide. Are they like masked? They may have just been masked. Oof, that's a rookie mistake. Okay, and let's just go ahead and divide the front claws. There we go. Yeah, okay, it was just a case of them being masked somewhere. Anyway, let's get back to this then. So now what I want to do is just make both claws a bit of a gross, dusty olive colour, I'd say. Let's go ahead and go back to paint. Oh, I've lost my alphas, haven't I? Is that the reboot? Okay, there we go. Let us grab that one funky looking blurry one I like. Yep, maybe this one. Ooh, see, look at that for an effect. Damn. That's not what I was initially going for, but I like that as a base. So if I just keep that as like the underlayer, if you will, I'll start it that way. And then I'll do like another coat on top of it. Let's do the same for the little toes as well. And I do want... Why is that one so blurry? That's a very low resolution one there. Weird. Let's just... Yep, there we go. Do that. I want the roots there to be a little bit... actually, I can fix that root later. That'd be fine the way it is there. And I want to do that technique there. Along the back toes as well, the back claws. Now, technically speaking, the back toes, or the toe claws, would not be quite as dark and, you know, used looking as the front claws, but I kind of want to just have it be consistent, to be honest, just like a little personal preference there. Now, let's remove our alpha to get a much more pale colour. In fact, I want to get like a grey. I don't want it to be white, I want it to be grey. And for that, let's select the layer. Oh, that's too much. And let me just... There you go. The nice little layer on top. So now all of those lines and textures from the alpha is now a lot more subtle. I am losing a bit of information around the tips, that's okay, because I can always add it back in, no problem. And this will also be a very shiny texture. The claws will, of course, be shiny when it's done. Oh, and let's just select the other toe. Or the other layer. There we go, let's make that a little bit, there you go, a bit lighter. And do the same thing back here. This is very awkward, as you can tell. Because of, like, everything just being in the way of it. Right, good stuff, good stuff. Let's look at that from the front for a second. Yeah, it looks nice with the big white claws. Or at least white for now. It's going to be like very mottled grey and brown in a moment. Let me just grab a different alpha. Let's get a bit more, yeah, this one here looks a bit hectic, which is kind of what I want. We're going to make this one quite a light brown actually. This one's going to be quite grey. Kind of greyish. What kind of grey do I want to add actually? I just want it to be like grey. Like, just like good old regular grey. Maybe a darker one. And I just want to make a bit of a mess, basically, is what I'm doing here, is just make a bit of a mess of this. Switch colour around, so grey's a bit more dominant. Let's do a bit of a spray. Not quite doing what I want it to, is make the brown a little bit more pale. Still not doing quite what I want it to. There you go, that's about more the effect I'm after. There we go, something like that. Just so the claws don't look neat. I do not want clean claws. I think that'll just look a bit weird. Now the question is, do I want to be like as detailed as my eagle talons? In those ones, they did have like a bit of a grey tip actually. In fact, they had just like a lot of randomness. Let's do a bit of randomness. Definitely put a bit of effort. I mean, put so much effort into everything else so far. I do tend to like get a little bit lazy when it comes to the spikes and claws. I did those recent art references for a reason. I want to get like better at this. So let's apply some of that then. It's in the claws, in the eagle talons, there were like a bit of a randomness like this, where one had like a really dark tip, the other had bands going down the middle. The root was very grey actually, which I will be doing in a moment. Let's just do the same back here as well. I can't quite do the same thing here, but I can at least make the tips, you know, look a bit worn. This poor thing probably walks around a lot. There you go, about like that, about like that. I think the back toes look okay the way they are. They look a bit... do look a little bit messy. Yeah, I do want the tips to be like properly dark. There you go, kind of like that. Ooh. Yep, that's already about the way I want it to be. I think the front claws are just going to have like all the attention. So we're going to focus on that a little bit further. We will grab a bit of gold. In fact, no, I want a bit more of a reddish brown, actually. That's what I'm after. There we go, just to bleed in a bit of brown into some places. Just so it looks a bit more worn, a bit more keratin. A bit like that. A little bit more around that edge down there. And then I do want the roots to be like a bit of a grey. So like I said earlier, the roots looking a bit too dark. This is how I can change it. And I think that's looking pretty good. And like I said, I will be shiny. So I think when I add the shine in, I think that's going to really make it pop out a lot more. Now, I do want, just like I did with the teeth and the gums, I want the this area here to be a bit darker, where the claw meets the toe. In fact, this one's going to be a lot harder to do. Let me zoom all the way in. I just want to outline it. Kind of like this. Now, the outline's going to look kind of weird for... Oh, wow, that's a view right there. That's a nice little bit to appreciate the texture. This is by far the most crazy I've ever gone on texturing. I think I've really outdone myself here. I've gone so over the top with this. It's probably going to turn into a very, very long video. For that, I apologize. Well, actually, I don't apologize for this. A lot of people wanted me to do a walkover of my colouring. I guess it's probably the best example I could possibly give because I went really, really nuts on this one. So I do hope that people learn a lot from this. There we go. As I was going to say though, the outline's going to look a little bit weird for a while because it's just like this random outline. I'm going to mix it into the rest of the creature shortly. In some places I don't mind it being an outline, but I don't want it to be like too, too incredibly defined. Let's go back again. That's definitely the best looking feet I've ever done. As I've said, hands and feet are my kryptonite. I just do not like drawing them at all. But been doing references, been doing realism practice. I'm trying to get better, and I do think that this has been a significant improvement compared to my previous ones. And not really that much in regards to technique. I mean, it's all about the technique. Not really that much in regards to time. I think this entire model has taken me probably a better course of like 20-30 hours, which is definitely a lot for me. I'm normally very fast. I've been fast at this actually, I think. This has definitely been like a very fast process altogether. Very efficient, but definitely my longer running one. Which I think is a good sign, to be honest. I've never really liked. Well, in a way I do like that I'm very quick. But sometimes I feel like I'm too quick. I like how I've been able to really pace myself here. It feels like it's taken a long time. It looks like it's taken a long time. Which I do quite like. Just trying to get the tips of the fingers to be all a bit muddied now. There are some inverted scales around here. That's a bit unfortunate, not gonna lie. Ugh, that trunk came in there out of nowhere. That was a bit weird. I just have the tip of the... Will that be a little bit darker? Have this here be a bit darker. Again, really messy toe tips. Fingertips, toe tips, all of it. All the tips. There we go. Whew. And I think the last thing to do is the eye. Originally I was going to give it a cat's eye, but technically it shouldn't have one. It should have a round eye. And I really just want to give it like a pre-made texture. I've got a couple of pre-mades, but I think that'd be a bit... I don't know, let's try it actually, let's see. I've always found that whenever I do, whenever I add in a texture for the eye, a pre-made one, it's always looked really out of place because it's just like so realistic compared to everything else, and it just looks really jarring. I wonder if like maybe for once I've actually like managed to strike the right balance. Let's give it a go quickly. We got... I see, I thought that was the wrong thing actually. Let's go ahead and import the texture there. Let's import the normal map for the alpha. Let's set that to drag. Let's go to the eye. Let's remove the focal shift. Wow. That's probably the best I've ever gotten it. That looks really weird though, it looks a bit high. But I think that's definitely the best I've ever gotten this. The most convincing. Let me just divide actually, it's really low res. Oh, there, oh my goodness. Yeah, you can definitely see the stark difference between, you know, my ability and the actual pre-made texture. But I think that says a lot as to how I've come along. It's a lot more convincing than I've ever had it be before. So I think for the eye, I am going to go ahead and use a round iris. I think I might just be the best choice overall, to be honest. I do want it to be very, very dark. What colour? I do want it to be crocodilian. I think it'd probably look best with like a greenish, like a really muddy green iris. Did I say iris earlier? I meant to say pupil. Let me see. Let's just do that. So that's, again, so I just crashed. Let's just reload all my alphas for hopefully the final time now. Let's get up the scales. And I'm doing the eye, but sometimes weird, unexpected alphas like scales can be really good for eyes. So just all like dots here and there. Do all my other ones. And let us texture in the eye. Let's get a bit of a... Let's try that actually. That's a bit freaky. I quite like it actually. Let's do that. Let's do it again around the middle. And then I want to grab this. Like a very muddy thing. I'm just going to be doing like a couple of different layers here of different things entirely. Let me see, that's already looking far too oversaturated. I want it to be like really greyish. This is the thing I'm kind of difficult. I kind of struggle with eyes, is making them look, you know, proper dull in colour. There we go. Let's see. So I want it to be round. I want it to be like a round, like a nice chill round iris. Let me just grab like all sorts of different browns. What is the resolution on this? 1.1 million. Okay, I think that might be, yeah, that's definitely enough for this. Let me also just grab this one here. And a bit of a darker, wait, much darker colour there. I'd like to be a lot smaller actually. There we go. I've been losing a lot of definition around the, around the eye, so I just want to return a bit of that back in. There we go. Very rough for now, though. Let me just fix up this area up here. There we go. Let me think. I kind of want to make just a bit around the eye a little bit darker as well. It just feels really light. Like, now that I'm really zoomed in, bits around the eye just feel really flat. So I just want to go ahead. That was a bit of a mistake right there, those lines, but I like it. I do just want to make this all a bit darker. Reduce the focal shift, make that as dark as possible right there. And I just want, I want there to be like a very definitive shadow. I was saying about false shadows earlier, I do like my false shadows. That's a bit too much though. Let's just, yep, there you go, undo that. Get all a bit bigger, like that. It's definitely a bit more like it. Do the same up here. Good bit of eyeshadow, effectively. And I want to do the same thing with the eyelid. I want there to be, like, again, another, like, definitive shadow on the eyelid. You might not be able to see it in the final thing. I just think I'll make it, like, pop out a little bit more. Let's just zoom out quickly. Yeah, I think I'll make it pop out quite a bit more. Just to, like, break it up apart, though, so it's not, like, really, really heavily dark eye. I'm just going to add, like, a bit of black, like, around there, around there. Nothing really too special. Just so it doesn't feel so secluded. And then I've done all that. The eyelid definitely feels a bit too bright. Let's grab like a bit of a blue shade and just very lightly go over it. There we go. Then we go back to the eyeball. For the eyeball, I want there, yeah, I think like a bit of a nice pale green there. Might be quite nice. Ooh, not quite, but I do like that technique. Maybe something right there. Yeah, I like that actually. Yep, definitely liking this. The iris is always like the most intimidating part for me to do. Because it's hard to know like when it's ready, if that makes sense. Because it's like such a finishing touch, the iris. I don't want to add, you know, I don't want to add it on too soon. Saying that, I also did a reference or a study of a crocodile eye, so I should probably refer to that. That might help me a lot. If I just go back to here. So I have done a crocodile eye before, and now looking at my personal reference, my personal attempt, I can see it's got like a bit of brown, bit of red in places. Lots of little creepy yellowish vein-like structures or filaments. Something like that. And definitely some more fine ones. I make that really tiny. So one like that, like that. Do it again, but like a much different colour. I think I might be ready for the black actually, for the actual pupil itself. Now again, this is always the most intimidating part because it's such a final decision. I am gonna just make the pupil like maybe have like a bit of a light ring. Yep, gradient, good. Let's grab that, drag. That again just looks really high. I feel like I may have made a mistake with the placement. Oh yeah, no, this is going to be really, really weird to get right. I definitely did the eyelid wrong. What's making it look weird right now is the eyelids. Oh yeah, it just looks too relaxed. Yikes, that's a really big mistake to figure out this late. Can I like move it if I do that? I don't normally like to move things this late, but I might really not have a choice. What if I just make that like that and try again? That's acceptable. I feel like a lot of people will laugh at it though. But I do want like intelligent looking eyes. This is going to be really, really tricky. If I make it too big, it'll just look really weird. It's got to be small. It has to be small. But that just looks cartoonish. Well, from a distance, it looks acceptable. That is definitely going to be a challenge. The funny thing is that I'm so close to being finished. I've reached a point now when I'm kind of eager to be finished. Let me see. What if I add just like a really, oh god, like a really dark shadow above it, so it looks like the eye is partially closed in a way. I want the eyelid to be a bit darker as well. Like I don't want the eye to be so eye-catching. I want it to be like a bit more in the background, if that makes sense. And I think if I add like a lot of shading around it, it does make it pop out less. It does simply look strange though. I do not know of how I can fix that. Could add like a bit of a spot. Oh, whoops. Could add like a bit of a splotch here, just to make it like a little bit of a glint. Let me think. Yeah, no, I'm really not sure how to fix that, to be honest. I think it's okay. I think I might be overthinking it. I think like from a distance it looks okay. I think it's because it's a round eye. Like a lot of people see round eyes as being more human, therefore they're drawn to it a lot more. And I think that's what makes it so strange. Whereas if it was like a typical cat's eye, it would look more monstrous. I think that'd fit it more. Because that's the thing, really. We're not really used to seeing dinosaurs in media with round pupils, even though it's better vision. So I think it's just a case of unfamiliarity, to be honest. I think it'll pass. Oh, okay. The shiny texture, that will definitely pass. Yeah. Okay, I've got confidence in that. I think it'll work. Which means I'm pretty much done. Wow, what a specimen. Yeah, I'd actually say I am probably done with this, which is a bit of a shock, not gonna lie. So in that case, let me just change a couple of materials around. Let's just disable that. We're just gonna make the eyeball have the eye reflection material. Well, actually, hold on. What about these two here? That's got like a bit of a weird colour. Nah, okay, yeah, I prefer this one. I do like the little blur there. The little bit of texture on the eyeball itself. And then for the teeth and the claws, I just want good old regular toy plastic. The teeth are separated, right? Yes, they are. So we have one there. One there. All the spikes. Wow, don't the scales look beautiful? The front claws and the back claws. Now, I've done all this in skin shade. Do I actually want that to be my material? That's the question. It doesn't have to be skin shade. It has the most vibrant information. But you know what? We could probably pass to something else. What if I was to try soft plastic? No. What would be a good alternative material? Definitely not that. Wow, that's how it looks with Skin Shade 4 on just default render options. I normally always change the render options to have like a more of a natural lighting. And even with like the default options, that looks astounding. And I was right, the eye is definitely a lot more toned back, at least from a distance. If you look at it from a distance, the eye is not quite as terribly eye-catching as I expected. Let's try my normal render settings. Definitely looks a lot fleshy this time round. Wow. I actually prefer the previous render options. They're normally really bad to use, but it made it pop out a bit more. Right. there we go then. I think that's the finished bust. After playing around with the materials a fair bit, I've decided skin shade is definitely the one to keep for the skin shade for. I've made everything else toy plastic or eye reflective. I believe these are all like default materials in ZBrush. But in other words, everything's shiny except for the base body, which has like a nice, you know, skin-like material texture. And I think in the end, I can't believe I've put so much effort into this. The thing is by far my best looking model, or at least my highest quality one. Oh dear. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy with the overall result. I was able to explore a lot of different techniques and a fair few, you know, hiccups here and there, such as a trunk, such as a sail, in particular the spine, and just overall, just overall, indeed, yeah. I was also happy I was able to apply some learnt techniques, such as the eye and the claws. And yeah, overall, I'm happy with it. I think a bit around the mouth is a bit tidying up actually. Some parts around the mouth do look a bit sharp, but otherwise so, yeah, I'm definitely happy with this. I'm going to wrap it up here because this video is probably going to be like 2 hours long, so as always, thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you've learned a lot from this, and I hope it's things that you can apply to your own techniques. Like I said, this was never meant to be a ZBrush tutorial, more of like a theory and techniques video, and I hope there's a lot of theory here that you can apply to your own artworks. Thank you all so much, and do take care of yourselves. Cheers.